It looks like it's just our frames with black stuff behind it.
So strange. I think I figured it out. Sorry, everybody. Technical difficulties.
We're here.
Hello.
We're
Hello.
Here. We're getting it rolling.
Welcome, beautiful people.
Hi, everybody.
Heyo.
There we are. I see us now.
There we are indeed. Well, welcome everybody to Power Word Chill Live, Dungeons and Dragons 5th Edition actual play live show talk show, starring Ian.
Hey guys, I'm Ian. I play Ambrose Bussant.
Andy.
Hi, everybody. I'm Andy. I play Pickles, though right now I'm currently showing as Ferric.
Oh.
Oh, you sure are. That's amazing.
Your best Ferric voice.
Oh, I can't do a Ferric voice. Are you kidding me?
Oh, come on, it's easy. You'll just
Shut the fuck up, Ambrose.
Somehow your guys' panels got crisscrossed.
Oh.
Crisscrossed. Like Christopher
There we go.
Cross.
Fixed it super quick on the fly. We got Katie joining us this week.
Hey, everybody. I'm Katie. I play Adalia Rowan.
And Austin. Now in his proper spot.
Yes. Playing Ferric, the Grave Singer.
And as always, I'm Cody, the Dungeon Master. This is a very special live episode of Power Word Chill. Unfortunately, this week, Nathan couldn't join us. He's on vacation, so no insights on Atreides, unfortunately. We'll have to get those next Power Word Chill. I do have a bit of some somber news. I don't know if you've heard the news, but Tyrell had to step away from the network. He's got a lot of crazy stuff going on right now. He's getting ready to film a music video for his band and all kinds of stuff, and it just got to be, one straw too many. He had to kind of let the dice fall where they may. So for now, he's living how he wants to live and dying how he wants to die.
Hopefully not.
Hopefully not. Mostly living how he wants to live, just to be extremely clear.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's his catchphrase.
Yes, I know, but just caveat.
Right. So, the failures have been on quite a journey since I took over. You've completed your exodus to Everton, which has been kind of a goal that I've had for you guys for a while, to get you through the scariest parts of Theocracy to Everton and onward to the Dragon's Horde that's been looming since like episode 3.
Episode 2, my guy.
Episode 2,
we were just talking about it before we started streaming. Literally since episode 2, this has been like theoretically the big goal. Get to Everton so we can get to the dragon treasure.
So how's everybody feeling about it? We've come a long way. A lot of people haven't made it, but for the ones that are still here.
Rest in peace.
Over silence.
I'm feeling good. I'm excited. I had sort of forgotten that we were going to have to visit Christopher's family. Like, I know we talked about it, that Christopher's family was in Everton, but I had sort of like blocked that out somehow until we were like at the gate. And then I was like, oh my God, we have to talk to Christopher's mom and explain what happened to her child. So I'm a little apprehensive about that. But overall, I'm really excited to be in a new city where hopefully we're not going to get hunted by Inquisitors. I mean, you never know, but could be cool.
Yeah, I guess you never know. Anything's possible.
I mean, we've got a solid 50% survival rate. Like, I think we're...
I think it's less than 50%. I'm pretty sure.
Yep, plus or minus.
There's a margin for error. Something like that, for sure. How is Pickles feeling right now? Pickles is going through it.
Pickles had a lot.
Pickles is not doing good. I mean, halfway through, Pickles lost who she was, And we never really worked on getting Pickles' actual memories back. So at this point, Pickles has more memories that aren't hers than she does of her own. So I feel like Pickles is going to be having some very philosophical discussions of at what point do you not be yourself if all of your memories are not your own.
Are you still Pickles if most of your memories are Eric the Terror?
Oh God.
That's a valid question.
What was it? Theseus's pickles.
Right.
Yeah, right. Pickles and Pops are going to be having some serious discussions in the corner about what is existence.
It's pretty long-winded, but there's like a thought exercise about like where does your soul lie or whatever, and a lot of people will draw the conclusion that their soul is basically the sum of their memories. And I always thought that was rather interesting because I do agree that, like, you know, if you changed all my memories, I wouldn't be the same guy. But at what point, especially in a fantasy universe where souls are like a real tangible thing, like, at what point does that happen in a setting like this?
I also don't know if we ever really clarified if Pickles' soul is still intact. Or
I mean, I guess you
like,
never
is it
did clarify that.
Oh yeah,
did
that was a
you?
good point.
is it intact and there's an evil little man in her head, or is it like half Pickles soul, half evil little man soul? Like, we never figured that out for sure, did we?
Right? Are
'Cause
they some
Navarra
weirdly
died?
combined? Like you just put them all in a jar and shook them together, and now they're one and the same, but two. Yeah.
And how that, like, I'm curious about like how much of Christopher is gonna come to the forefront, because I'm also convinced that like Christopher's in there too.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is worst case scenario and on phases. There's just so many people going on right now.
A lot of people in Pickles' tiny little body.
Having two souls is a lot. Having three is getting, you know?
Yeah.
The soul globe. You shake it up. And
Shake Pickles and see who starts talking.
Like an etch-a-sketch, just like
oh my God.
start over fresh
Which
and
person
see what
is it today.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's a concept.
Yeah. How about Ambrose and Ferric?
Yeah, I was gonna say, Ambrose, you left your dad in the theocracy. I mean, I know you got a lot on your mind.
Good riddance.
Yeah, I'm super glad that we're getting to Everton. The journey, as we all know, has been a very turbulent experience, and I'm very glad to be just pushing forward. But yeah, I'm glad we dropped our dad off at our dad, Ambrose's dad.
Just collective party dad.
Yeah, just collective dad. You know, just really glad to put him on standby, and then just moving forward, I'm really glad to.
I was gonna
keep
say
pushing.
the last living father, but Pickles' dad's still alive.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, as far as we know.
Actually,
Does Ferric have a father?
are Ferric's parents live? I'm not sure I ever talked about that.
Eric has parents, yeah.
We'll meet the parents.
What?
Like, I'm pretty sure Ferric's parents are, you know, like alive and well.
Oh.
And I was also trying to think of like what Kiln like social dynamics look like. You know, like what does the whole tribe raise children together, or is it like still broken up into individual families?
Yeah.
So
Do they
I don't
lay
know.
eggs?
Do they lay eggs? I don't know. I hope not. I really sure do hope not.
You don't want to be an egg baby?
I really don't like the idea of coming out of an egg.
There's
There's a lot to do, like, ick in me. Like, I've never thought about my life as an egg before, and now I'm
You don't watch
Egg
it.
Rick?
I'm upset. Yeah.
Did we talk about it on a previous Power Word Chill? How you like don't like? What was it? Is it like?
Eggs?
No, not eggs, but like anthropomorphized. Is
Yes.
it mascots? Did we talk about that on a
Oh,
previous one? I
yes.
can remember.
No, it's when animals do human things.
Oh, I'm sorry. I knew it was something like that.
Like, from a philosophical standpoint, I'm like, yeah, destroy the like human hierarchy, like, you know, bring up some animals. But Please don't. I know I'm gonna say please don't, and that's the only thing that I get in my inboxes. But like dogs riding bikes is like
Okay.
really upsetting.
Yeah.
For some reason, bulldogs on skateboards are fine, but dogs riding bikes,
Mm.
it's just the way that their body contorts to like put their feet
Yeah.
on the pedals. And
Yeah.
they like look like they're lost. There's just like no soul to them. And it just freaks me out. Or the scene in if anybody's seen Antichrist where
Yeah.
the fox is like chaos reigns. I'm just like
But see, the reason that sticks out to me is that you play all of these like anthropomorphized non-human characters
Yeah.
in D&D, and I think it's so funny.
live by the sword, die by the sword, apparently.
Apparently.
I did have a scrapped character idea where I just played a dog with a little voice box, and he's just a normal dog.
That would be fun.
Dog.
Sure.
It'd be a good ranger class.
Talking
Yeah.
about
An awakened
Yeah.
awakened dog, intelligence of 10. With a voice box. Ugh.
I keep seeing a
Don't
meme going around where it's like, meet my new character, a piece of cheese. It's being held by a sentient mage hand.
I see that one.
Yeah.
I like the weirdest characters possible, so I like keep wanting to push and push and push and be weirder and weirder and weirder until eventually
Someone
I
tells you
fall
to stop.
of my own horrors.
Until you are a dog riding a bike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
But the character's the bike for some reason, and the dog is just like its
There.
friend that helps
Yeah.
it like get
Mhm.
around. Yeah.
Just an ornament.
It's your ranger companion.
Yeah. The dog is your ranger companion, you're the bike.
So, Cody, I think this is a good one for you from the chat from Seth.
Oh.
Have things gone off the rails from what you expected them to since you've started?
Yes and no. In ways, I was able to, anticipate various things that you guys would do. Like, I knew you guys would go off the script at Ordomall during the games. I just didn't know how it was going to happen. I didn't plan on the drug trip, but I do know a lot about like Pickle's memory problem. So it was pretty easy for me to come up with some like examples. But I did not plan on that. I would say you guys have been pretty, I don't want to say predictable, but I've been able to come up with varying gauges of like, okay, if they do this, I'll do that. If they do this, I'll do that. If they do something totally crazy, I don't know what I'll do. I'll have to think of something on the spot.
If Ambrose shoots the
a
head of
guy.
the Inquisition and then kills a gnome in the street.
I had a contingency for you guys getting caught there. I really
Yeah.
had kind of hoped you would in a way, but I knew you wouldn't go down without a...
Fog cloud fight.
You
Right.
never.
I
you'll
mean,
never
if there's
catch me.
one thing that you can say about the failures, besides the fact that we tend to run away from problems, is that we're really good at running away from them, though.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
once
Yeah.
we really decide to run away, we have, like, somehow built ourselves up to just be real good at it.
Mhm.
I think
Excellent at a chase.
The number one thing that's gotten completely out of hand is Pokey. I did
Yeah.
not plan for that scenario. That's supposed to be the BB guy, the big bad evil guy's like master sword, and he doesn't have it anymore. You guys have it, and it's
Sorry.
alive, and it's like gaining powers. The more you guys interact with it, it's like trying. I keep telling you, it keeps trying to move on its own. It hasn't yet, but it keeps trying. I don't know.
And yet,
We'll see.
it gave in to the whole carrots thing. Like,
Pokey's
just
It's
to be
really
out of
hungry.
the... Yeah.
It'll do
We'll
whatever
wear
you
it down.
want.
I'm really worried about Pokey. I keep thinking about it. Like first thing, when the session starts, I'm like, where the hell is that sword? Making sure that no one's gonna do that thing.
As
I
soon
mean-
as it sprouts
Go-
like crab legs, I'm gonna be like, we
Yeah,
gotta-
back of holding
we gotta try
forever.
this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Are there actual rules, or is it a homebrew mechanic in one of my other games where you can like break out of a bag of holding if you're
That's a
in
good
there?
question. I don't know how the
don't know.
rules
Because
are.
we have a rule in my home, like my home game, my
How often
in-person
does
game.
that come up that you guys got to have a rule for it?
Right.
Relatively often, because I play. It's my first D&D character. I played this character for like 6 years. But she is a halfling, and she has a necklace of adaptation, so she doesn't need to breathe, kind of like Pickles.
Oh.
So when they need to do something, like the rest of the party needs to do something, and like we don't have enough casts of fly or whatever the situation is,
Hide
they
in
just
the
put her
bag.
in the bag of holding
Yeah.
until such time as it's appropriate. But it's come up enough where it's like, can I get out of the bag? Like,
We
you know,
almost had
trouble
that
is happening.
problem.
Yeah, with
Yeah,
Pickles.
I don't know if there's any official rules on that.
No, you're done. You're done. If you get trapped in the bag of holding,
If
there's
it's
no way to
sealed,
get out.
sealed.
Yeah.
I mean, if they just have it like sitting on a desk, I imagine that you could probably climb out. But if it's like,
Mhm.
you know, clasped and on your belt or whatever, I think that it's closed.
Yeah.
Uh,
I don't
If you
know.
have like the ability to fly, I would assume like I would rule that in a way because like, but there's nothing. It's like an empty planar space.
Pokey's gonna grow wings.
Yeah, I think
That's just like
I will tune to it if it gets wings. I will tell you
no,
that.
you will
That's-
not.
I can't say no
Absolutely
to a
not.
wing sword, all right?
There is a question that we got from Discord earlier, which is if your character could go back in time and do one thing different, what would it be? From Grant, actually. But I was thinking about it before we started recording, and I wanted to say something maybe about like Adalia not leaving her sister to go undercover as Miss Scarlet so she could stop her sister from leaving and thus stop her sister from theoretically dying. But I really think what she would have changed is not letting anyone near Marcus. Like, she took Marcus's sword when he handed it to her.
ooh.
We didn't know anything about
Mm.
that sword. Why did she do that?
Yeah.
And then it killed
Mhm.
You
Spunk.
couldn't have known. You couldn't have known. Who could have known?
I know, but we knew
I've
he
never
was
seen
up.
anything like that in my career.
He was up to no good, and we should have known that. But
Yeah.
all of this to say, no more evil. We've already lost a person. We have explicitly lost a party member
Pokey
to
can
an evil
change.
sword.
Pokey
Yes.
can change, okay?
No, he can't.
With a strict
Not if Ambrose
diet
never
of
gives him back.
carrots.
Man, that's crazy to hear that weighs on you, and that way you blame yourself for that. I mean, that's
Mm-hmm.
That's
All the time. Whenever anybody brings
crazy.
up Spunk, that's what I think about.
I'm gonna have
Is that
to
Marcus
torture you
hand-
with that information.
Great, thank you. Yeah, no, that was all I. That is the one, because Adalia kind of lives she's lived such a hard life, full of really hard choices that like if she second guessed all of her choices every time something bad happened, she would just go crazy. But that is the one thing I wish I wouldn't have done. I was all wrapped up in like the tragedy of Marcus's story, and so when he handed her the sword, I was just thinking of it as like a gesture, you know, like he was
Right.
trying to like give us
Yeah.
something in
Mhm.
return for helping him.
He
And it
shoulda-
totally-
he probably could have been a little bit more clear.
Totally went out of my head
Yeah.
that like he had made some kind of like evil he was a warlock. We knew he was.
Yeah, he
And I
did.
took the sword anyway.
Mhm.
And then it killed Spunk. So I feel bad about that all the time.
Dang shame.
Yeah. What can you do?
Right.
I will
Any
say
other,
this.
Backs and
I will
times.
say this. I wish I blew Pharaoh's brains out with my crossbow. I
Good luck.
wanted to shoot. I wanted to shoot Pharaoh so badly, but everyone was debating on. I'm gonna be very quiet and just kind of watch the whole thing, and then the next scene after, everything's on fire, and I was just like, man, I really should have done this one. I really should have put my foot down on this. But
What a very different game.
Yeah.
it would be,
Yeah.
but
And
it's,
I mean, it wouldn't. I doubt it would even be recognizable, honestly, as the game we're playing right now.
Oh, no way.
yeah.
Uh,
But I do think about that.
yeah. How about Pickles and Ferric? Do you guys have a one thing you'd change?
Yeah.
I think pre-failures, Ferric would probably say like, "Oh, don't get caught in the smoke and lose
Oh,
consciousness
yeah.
and fall and lose wings and
Yeah.
whatever. But
Horrible trauma. Yeah.
had that not happened, would have never met Spunk, would have never met the failures, would have never, all that sort of stuff.
Sure.
But I guess, like, as far as from when our story starts to when it ends, I think Ferric has been taking these strides to connect individually with each of the characters, except for Pickles. Like, especially lately, I felt like early on it was going to be like Ferric and Pickles get really like on really, really well, and
Then she died.
Yeah, it like pretty much like me calling you Abomination was the last time we
Put the
had
brakes on it.
an actual conversation.
That's the last time we talked. Yeah.
And I think Ferric feels guilty about that. Like, I want to play that up. And then when Ferric tries to bring Miraz back, not knowing the spell, not knowing how to do it, and just being like desperate to try, and somebody mentions that like I had called Pickles Abomination for Pickles coming back, and Ferric's like, I was wrong. Like, this is not how, like, we're all supposed to go down. And so I'm trying to weigh this kind of crisis of faith of, like, what does Ferric believe from who they were to, like, how does Ferric care for these people around them? And I think, like, they just don't know how to approach Pickles. And so I'm like, I'm really trying to...
To be fair, she's not super approachable. So.
Yeah. Not right now. Well, not usually ever, really, but especially not right now.
But Pickles and Ferric really did used to be so close when she used to scoop them up at night to, like, hang out in the tree.
Yeah.
That was Pickles reaching out a lot of the time. Like, she wasn't waiting for someone else to reach out. Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah.
That is tough.
Yeah.
I will say that I don't think I picked up on that subtlety that you guys hadn't spoken since then, directly, like one-on-one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like-
I don't know if Austin's noticed it, but, like, I've been paying attention to it because it's been very, like, every episode, like, we specifically go and talk to other people,
Right.
or, like, we there's opportunities where we could talk, and we, like, specifically choose to awkwardly go do something else, or disengage, or say a couple words and leave it at that. So it's kind of just always been sitting there in the background of, like, and plus so much shit has been happening that there hasn't really been a good moment to sit and talk about death because it's just been so prevalent, right? That you don't really want to have that discussion.
Yeah, you don't want to talk about it when it's, like, surrounding you in that way, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, before we go on to our next question, I will say I did some rules lawyering, and according to Jeremy Crawford, a bag of holding can be opened from the inside. It can just be opened.
Oh.
So
Well,
unless
that's
it's
good to know.
sealed shut somehow, you can just.
Yeah, he
do
also
that.
thinks monks are good, so that's
Ian has such strong opinions about monks. He's
Yeah.
so passionate.
I've never actually played one past, like, level 2.
It's one that's
They're
just
okay.
never seemed interesting to me. Like, other things just seemed
Ooh,
more
That's a
interesting.
good question. Does anyone have a class that they're just like, no thank you? Mine is Paladin. I don't know why.
Really?
No thank you. I don't want to do it. I don't even want to try.
I always have to talk myself out of playing a paladin because they sound boring.
I know people love Paladin. Like, I know
love
several
Paladins.
people who love Paladins. And, like, I'm here for it. But I'm just, no thank you. I don't know why.
Mine's probably a ranger. I just never want to play rangers because I feel like I could be I don't know, just like anything else. Artificer, rogue.
Yeah.
Here's
agree
looking at
with
you,
that.
Ambrose. Yeah, I'm like, I don't like rangers. I like them just fine. I
Rangers are-
especially like having
Yeah.
one in the team, but I just don't want to be them.
Yeah, that's
This
how I
is
feel
the
about
year. of like me seeing how Ranger like this playing Ambrose and I'm playing another campaign and seeing like another Ranger. Like I really have grasped like what a Ranger should be doing in a D&D game. So I really like I think my opinion on monks were Rangers before. And then I started playing one and then I started playing other roles. Okay, the Ranger's actually sick. Like it has everything. It's a utility fighter. And it's just like everything that I kind of like playing as a martial, but you get like utility, which is fun. But
Makes sense.
yeah.
Yours is probably monk, I take it.
No, it's wizard or sorcerer.
Really?
Actually, wizard. I just hate like the spell book mechanic, and I also don't like being an intelligence caster, like
You're
versus
playing
like
an
everything else. Yeah, but Bruce is a little different because he's just like a pompous, ass.
Yeah.
But just a little different. Maybe sorcerer then.
I like
Playing,
playing wizards, but they always have the problem where they're smarter than me, so I can't do them justice.
Yeah. Playing a sword singer or wizard really changed my mind about wizards.
I love wizards.
They're fun.
They're so fun. I mean, they're weak little babies at early levels, but
Right,
God, they're
but once you
fun
get
once you get a
rolling-
little. Yeah, once you get rolling,
Yeah.
they're real fun.
mean, that
I would love to
meter-
play wizard at a high level, but when it's like 1 to 5, I'm like, I'll pass on that.
So,
I'd rather have
Austin-
action surge.
Austin, if you're cool with wizards now, what's your no thank you class?
I've tried to make like, I don't know. I think it's probably monks.
Really?
Yeah, like I was like looking at playing a monk, and I was like trying to make it make sense on paper, and I even like crowdsourced like, hey, what do you think of like this kind of build, blah blah blah, this stuff. Like everybody kind of shit on me and was just like, just go fighter, stupid.
Right.
I'm like, yeah, you're right. Like I should
Yep.
just kind of go fighter.
Yeah, monk is one of those classes that in my mind have a little bit of a hard time like reconciling them as like a fantasy class, because in my mind it's always like there's the noble knight, the powerful wizard, the pious paladin and cleric, and then we've got our friend Goku over here. He's a real but I know that they could be like, the like Friar Tuck type monk, you know what I mean, and like just beat the shit out of people. But in my head, it always goes straight to Goku. It just goes straight to Goku every time.
You
And
need more
we-
sources.
We
Definitely.
typically think of fantasy within like a medieval Western
Yeah.
context
Mhm,
too.
mhm.
Like we don't really like expand the visual vocabulary of fantasy to other things, like other regions, typically. Unless you like start talking about like samurai,
Sure.
right? Like that, then we start like dipping in other, but you don't see it a lot, and it's a shame that you don't see other kinds of like, I don't know, visual vocabularies brought
Mhm.
into that. I mean, I know that it's out there, but
Yeah.
like when people are like fighter class, they always, like it's
Mhm.
they
You're
go to,
talking
like,
medieval European
Yeah.
knight. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Man, one of my favorite fighter dudes that ever is in Tomb of Annihilation. You meet this super badass arena dude, and he's from Cholt or whatever, and he's not like a knight. He's like a badass gladiator, I guess. But he,
Cool.
like, now when I think of fighters, I think of him.
Mhm.
Yeah.
He's a really cool NPC that you can get in Tomb. He can join your team.
Nice.
Depending on your DM. Some DMs don't like to have you have like, hirelings or dudes that you bring along with you.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's a really cool guy. What about you, Andy? Did you ever say your fave/least fave?
No, just I haven't been playing that long. So I haven't even had a chance to play like half the classes. I've played a warlock, I've played a paladin, I've played a fighter, I've played a barbarian. I think that's it. So there's a lot that I haven't even had the chance to try to know whether or not I would like them.
Yeah. When you
Um,
build your next long-term character, like the next time you're starting a new kind of campaign, what do you want to play next?
See,
What's
like,
your-
I love playing paladins. I love playing, like, I have the ones I've played, like, I know which ones I really like, so it's hard for me to, like,
Mhm.
especially for, like, a long-term campaign. Like, that's why I like playing one-shots. Because when I play
Mhm.
one-shot, that's when I usually, like, try something completely different, because then I can
Yeah.
actually try it. But, like, it's hard
Mhm.
for me to commit and say, I'm gonna do this 2-year campaign as a wizard when I've never played a wizard before.
Yeah.
Because if I immediately hate it, I'm gonna want to just
Screwed.
change,
I had
or
that problem
scrap
with a
it.
druid. I
Mhm.
Oh,
I don't
love
have a
Druid.
problem with druids. I actually really like druids, but I also it's another one where it's like I don't really want to be one.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But I tried it. I was like, I'm gonna try to be a druid, and I made a very ambitious character with a very crazy voice. He sounded like Nigel Thornberry, and I lost it so fast. I was like, I can't keep doing this to myself.
Mhm. Yeah.
Set the
Not
bar
having
way
fun
too
with
high
it.
with that.
Yeah, I set the bar too high. I should have just been like a guy who turns into animals. Instead, I'm like, no, I'm gonna be Nigel Thornberry.
I loved my druid. I played a 10-year-old feral child that crawled out of the woods. That sounded like Bjork.
That's an incredible druid. My
That's
God.
amazing.
Yeah.
I played a feral child once, but he was a barbarian. And he wasn't a
That makes
child anymore. He just was at one point.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Feral man.
A feral man who was once a feral child. Yeah.
Went to Feral Academy.
All right, you guys. Do you want
Yeah.
another question from the list?
Right
Yeah.
on. Yeah, moving on down the
Let's see. How do we feel about individual questions? I'm doing it. Okay. Ian,
list. Hit us.
how do you come up with these ideas for your magic? Do you like plan them out? Do you write them during the week? Like talk about your process, because Ambrose's magic is always really cool. Or magic.
Yeah, I really like the way you skin your stuff.
I will be honest with you. I make it up literally. I just pull up the spells. I have tons of inspirations of TV shows, movies, and stuff, and I try to like put it in the scene, whatever makes sense, but isn't too extremely magical. So like one of my favorite ones that I just reflavored was Rope Trick, which was
It was so good.
That was
just
fun.
like a piece of rope that you just shoot out and it just sticks to a magical hole. It's not really anything incredible, but to me, I'm just like, okay, replace the rope, put a sick chain on it, and then do Attack on Titan. You're zooming across the city, and I kind of took that scene from Attack on Titan, and it gave me a lot of inspiration. So I just kind of like, okay, now I have a crossbow that has a grappling hook that shoots portals. I'm like, nah, that's sick. And then I just kind of just reflavor that. And then later I'm like, okay, how do I explain that? I'm like, okay, I always, keep a bunch of crap. And then I'm just like, oh, Zeus's blood is weirdly distorted from the decay crystal. So I'm just like, hey, I used this concoction and I just mixed it up. And I'm like, oh, sure, it works. And then other stuff that are more like lower magical stuff, obviously I just use my glasses and I just switch my frames. Which it's just like, lower magic level and like less science. But that's pretty much, yeah, I don't really think about them because everything else is like grenades, capsule, smoke grenades, more smoke grenades, and
Buck
then
up for life.
yeah, and I think my other favorite one, it's sometimes hard to describe, is silence. But I really like love silence so much because instead of just being like, oh, this area has no silence, can't speak whatsoever. I just grounded up like high condensed spicy peppers, and now no one can breathe and speak in this area because it's just extremely irritable to like actually be in this one aura. So there's a bunch of stuff that I love about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always thought those were really creative.
I've always enjoyed those. I really enjoy watching you play a spellcaster because I know that you don't play one normally, so I feel
Yeah, I
like
avoid
you
them as
have
much as possible. They're
such a
not...
distinct perspective on spellcasters. Like half the time I feel like you're like, I'm gonna use this spell in this way, and we're all like, you can't do that. And you're like, no, you can, read the thing.
I watch a
Um,
crap ton of YouTube videos of D&D. Like when I'm not playing D&D, I'm watching like D&D. I'm also working at the same time at my full-time
Yeah.
job, so it's
Yeah.
like I'm just absorbing so much D&D content. Where I'm just like, tell me more about Rangers. What's the most ridiculous thing you could do with it? And then I'm like, okay, and how do I reflavor that as Ambrose? And then I just keep on pushing through.
yeah, it's good. Let's see. Oh, Andy, have past and current events, do they make you feel like is Pickles a different character now from what you thought she would be at the beginning of the campaign? Like, how have the events kind of shifted your perspective on
So
Pickles?
when I go into character creation, I put a lot of thought into past, but I don't put a lot of thought into future. So like going into this game, I didn't have a picture of like what Pickles would be at some point because I want the story to lead that.
I think it has.
So this is a hard one for me because when I brought Pickles in, I brought Pickles in as she is. I knew who she was. I knew what her goals were in that moment. Did I think we would be where we are now? No, not at all.
You didn't expect to have at least one other person in your head?
I didn't
That's
expect
crazy.
to be dead, basically, and have an evil king in my head, and potentially others, and have a sun dragon and an adopted son sword, and be in love with an evil guy. So, like, did I have that in mind? No, not at all. But yeah, when I create characters and stuff like that, I don't put any thought at all. I don't like having that expectation of this is where I want to go, because I feel like that limits where the character can go. I'd rather just go into it open every time of let's see how these things come in and let them impact and grow the character. So I guess she's exactly where I thought she'd be because I thought she'd be where the story would take her.
Would you say that, like, if Pickles were to take some sort of, like, assessment test or whatever, that she would score the same, or would she be completely different at this point? Like, would you still be a
Assessment what?
barber if you took the goat? That's
What?
a Fallout reference.
Sure it is. No, I think Pickles is completely different now than she was in the beginning. But a big part of that is, like I said, Pickles lost who she was. But do I think if Pickles gets her memories back, she would go back to the same Pickles? No. I feel like enough has happened
Sure.
in that time span that it has changed her enough. And I don't even know at this point, given the choice, if she would want to go back with everything that's happened. She might just what's gone, especially with Miraz gone. I don't know if she wants those memories back. I think she might just want them gone.
Yeah.
So it's do I? Yeah, she's definitely changed. there's no choice
Eternal.
there. Some things have stayed the same, but
Eternal sunshine of the spotless Pickles.
yeah, assessment test a lot different. I mean, her class has changed, so her
Oh,
build
that's
has
true.
changed a lot.
Yeah.
She's a whole different character.
Well, I
essentially.
mean, but like, you know, are her favorite foods kind of the same right now? Like, as this form?
I mean, as her new form, I've been playing it. She doesn't eat, so she has
That's
not
true.
eaten since she's come back to life. I've specifically in every place there's been food, either declined food or specifically has not said that she's eaten food.
Adalia, do you not eat at all either?
Oh, Dahlia eats. I'm assuming that Pickles not
I'm not
eating...
Crystalborn.
No,
Yeah.
no, I know.
Yeah.
But,
No. So, Crystalborn, full-blooded, regular Crystalborn. I don't know what Pickles is, or how that relates to, the Crystalborn homebrewed race. But regular Crystalborn they have a humanoid shape. They eat, they drink, they grow at sort of the rate of humans. up until a certain point, they sort of age like elves. So they live like 400 years. But otherwise, they are, nothing unusual about them, except I was rereading the document the other day, and apparently they weigh like 400 to 500 pounds because they're made of
Jeez.
crystal.
Made of crystal.
Makes sense.
Right?
Yeah, so
Sure.
they're like rock, which is interesting. We've never really played it that way, but poor horse who's been carrying around Varric and Talia all this time.
Horses are pretty strong, but I don't know how
Yeah.
happy he is.
Yeah, he's probably very
certainly not
unhappy.
Yeah.
No.
Or he's just
Turtle is
super strong
pissed.
now. It's been
I mean, I know Varric has like, hollow bird bones, but that's
Yeah,
still a
Ferret's
lot
not
of weight
happy.
There's
for
a lot.
one horse named Horse.
We split it 50-50.
There you go.
Eric's like, despite being super fucking tall, is like
Uh-huh.
50 pounds.
Yeah, real light. Adalia is just so dense, like a black hole. Like just so much weight. But yeah, no, the Crystalborn eat and drink and breathe
Right.
normally.
So I guess that is a little bit suspicious about Pickles then.
Mm.
Yeah.
yeah, she does not eat or drink or breathe. So yeah, I mean, but like for all her favorites, whether or not they're the same, I don't think they are. Again, like when she first came back to life, she's just like, do I like apples? I don't know if I like apples. Like, do I like? She's still discovering whether or not the favorite things end up being the same, maybe. But I mean, she still knows she likes painting, but now does she think she likes painting because she likes painting or because Eric likes painting?
I guess
So
that's
there's-
true. I mean, do you still paint in
That-
your style, or do you paint in like more photorealistic?
I plan to have that come up in the next episode. So,
Ooh.
There you go.
so yeah, there's a lot of that's how we got to the smash or pass thing, right? Like Pickles being like, well, how do I know which feelings are mine? How do I know
Mhm.
which things I like and what he likes? And so I think there's a lot of interesting discovery there of figuring out, okay, which one is me, or are they both kind of me, or all that kind of stuff, which is fun to play because then I get to just pick things.
Sure.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait to explore some more of the machinations of that as we go forward.
Mhm.
I do think that there's a pretty big reveal, like, right around the corner. Can't wait for it. I can't wait for it.
Really? What's this, you say?
Big
You'll
More
find
death.
out.
It's always more death.
No more death for a while, please. My
I
God.
literally,
I need a break. I need a moment.
That's actually going to be the name of my next character. Is I need a break.
I need a break. Yeah. Ugh. There's just been, we've lost so many people.
Mhm.
God.
It's been
See.
brutal.
We lost Evangeline
Yeah.
and Spunk and Christopher and Sorta Pickles and Navara and Miraz.
Mhm.
Did we lose anybody else?
The queen.
I mean, we lost the queen, but what can you do about that? That was so bad for him.
Well, she was almost out the door anyway, so.
Yeah, she was on death
Wow.
door. So that's six. That's six people directly who were like
Mhm.
traveling with the party, part of the party. We've lost six.
It's not good.
It's not great, guys. It's not awesome.
Man.
It is not fantastic. We've lost six people. We have three
Like
OG
one a week.
members.
We're doing great.
Yeah.
It's pretty bad, yeah.
I was
I missed-
counting up the other day for some reason how many funerals we had done, and it was a lot, you guys. It was
Yeah.
many.
This is why Ferric runs.
Mm.
I no more death. Ferric runs.
Yeah.
No, it makes sense. There's been times where Ambrose has wanted to run so many times, but
Yeah, I think one of the first episodes one of the really early episodes, I want to say we were fighting some bandits. And
Drug dealers?
There were drug dealers. There were like trees. The trees.
Drug dealers. Maybe it was the tree people.
Yeah.
But I remember like Tyrell and I were at that point very used to Grant's DMing, and we're just like, yeah, let's get in here, let's like take some damage, let's fight, let's whatever. And like Ambrose was running away a lot, and now the script has completely flipped where like Ambrose is like in the shit and Ferrick's like, I'm getting out of here. Okay, goodbye, everybody.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like all of our characters have changed so much. We were talking earlier about how different Ambrose is from the beginning, but like everybody has changed enormously, like more than I would have expected in the amount of episodes we've had. There's just been
Ambrose is hungry for combat. Like whenever you can throw hands, I'll be the first one you can rely on. I'll be in that fight. But it's crazy how much has changed and how different our characters are from how much we've grown and also not grown. So
yeah,
crazy.
I was specifically thinking about how like righteous Ambrose was being when Evangeline tried to kill that guy in the temple.
Oh yeah.
The guy
he would have just shot him.
Yeah, he'd have been like he would have right between the eyes, baby. Yeah. I wouldn't have even had time.
32 initiative.
Yeah, he's already dead before Evangeline even thinks about it. And yeah, Ambrose. So I know that question was for Andy, but like, how do you feel like Ambrose has shifted from what you expected him to be? I know that you had like a massive shift when Evangeline died because that was a big part.
So I took a lot of time thinking about like what would a person who is really skilled at combat and just also like an intelligent analytical character too as well, but also et cetera, what Ambrose has. But I wanted to like really capture like what pain and suffering is, and that's never really explored in D&D ever. So I wanted to focus on creating like a fine line of being like a slight edgelord, but also being a character that you can always rely on. So it's like we kind of had to put up with Ambrose's shit because it's like, okay, at least he's like he at least we can like stay at his house, you know? Like it's like
Sure.
but it's been fun exploring grief and also really creating this foundation of determination to this character where this person doesn't really know how to handle the issues that are coming towards them, but in a way I wanted to show that like we'll figure it out, like no matter what, like for as long as we're together, as long as we're determined, we're gonna figure something out. So it's been a wild ride, but I really love my boy.
He's such an asshole. I love him so much, just to be very clear.
I did not plan for Ambrose to be such an asshole, but it was actually too easy being a jerk, and I was like, okay, this is I have to stay with it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Very nice.
Do you guys want another question from the list?
Yeah, bring it on.
Bring on those questions. All right. So this one's for the group. What are you most excited and or afraid of coming back to bite you? Like, what have we left unsaid, so to speak? Pokey.
Pokey's
Sure.
pretty bad.
Pokey's a big one.
Kelvin.
Kelvin. No.
Leaving Kelvin.
So that's actually, I was thinking about this earlier. That's kind of what I'm afraid of. I feel like I'm worried about what's happening in Mornstead right now.
You guys picked it.
I know, but that's what I'm worried about. Like, I'm worried that we're going to come back to, like, some horrible shit show, and it's going to be all our fault. Because
I wish we just murdered Kelvin before we left.
What?
Like,
Real
I
hobo talk right there.
Yep.
I'm just worried.
Eric
It's
the
not
Bear
that I think
talking.
we made the wrong choice by any stretch of the
Yeah.
imagination. I feel like we did the best we could in that situation. But we did make a huge altering choice for our homeland, essentially, for everybody except Ferric. And then we just were like, peace, we got other stuff we gotta do. And then we just left and like didn't
Yeah,
stick around to see what happened. So like
very true.
I don't know what happened in Northwatch. Like who's leading Northwatch? That was Adalia's whole identity for most of her life. So like what's going on there? And like are the Three Kings doing okay? So I worry about that. I'm worried that that's going to come around and bite us because we didn't like follow up essentially.
I also, one thing I do regret is not investigating the guy that's taking over the Ivory Guard. That was one slip up I still think about a lot. Like, if someone's taking over Isaac Busan, of course they're probably going to target the other person's taking over the Ivory Guard, and I wish I kind of looked into that too.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I can't play all my cards, but I think I was able to psychologically confuse Ambrose. Because, I mean, I don't know if you remember it, but the dude seemed like he was also kind of like, he was really pretty respectful of your father, and he was like, I'm stepping into these shoes, and I think you were expecting him to be like a real asshole. But when he came across as like kind of respectful, he did try to like steal from you in a weird way, but you shut him down, and he was like, "All right."
Yeah, I like obviously I gave him a drink at the party because we're at a party and everything, but you never know like behind the scenes, or like this person could be the same, but a week's worth of travel, this person can be blackmailed and their whole family could disappear, like kidnapped.
Yeah.
So.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of things to worry about.
I think for me, the faction, the like concept that's been like introduced that we haven't really explored enough, that I'm most excited about, like the ramifications of it, is the Knights of the Crystal Crown. Like,
that's a good one.
You guys
blocked that out of
screwed
my
up their
mind.
ceremony. You let their dragon go. You worked with Ravenaugh, who they thought was good, and you guys know that he's not, but do they?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's just a lot of things about that faction that have been left on very ambiguous terms. That like the next time that you run into them, I'm excited to see how that goes.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that.
I didn't even think about that.
The fact that
Right
like
this
we
second.
probably should have sent back some kind of note to like the Crystal Court saying like,
Yeah.
"Yo, this guy was bad."
This guy's
Because like,
evil.
what's not stopping him from just going right back and?
I don't know. I mean, he sent him a crystal and shit and everything. He's doing his job.
So I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't even think about that. Thanks, Cody.
Yeah,
One
you're
more
a
concern to
friendly
add to the list.
DM.
Yeah.
I mean, I already let you step in it. I can tell you it's on your shoe.
Yeah. I guess I just wasn't really, because we haven't really heard from them that much except for Ravenaugh.
Right.
Like, or Tarsian. But like after that initial thing in the temple where we didn't actually even meet the Knights of the Crystal Crown. They weren't knights,
No.
they were priests. That was the temple of the Crystal Crown. And then Ravenaugh shows up and he's like, I'm a Knight of the Crystal Crown. I work with those priests you guys met. And we're like, cool, man. But like, we haven't really interacted with them, so it never occurred to me that they were people you should probably
Not since
worry
that,
about.
Like,
but
one
that's
guy
fair.
that you guys let get crushed, if I remember right. Like, he was like screaming about something as the temple was falling down, and if I remember right, he just dies in there. Or maybe
Christopher's
lives?
dad?
No, because he died off screen.
Yeah.
The guy that
Oh, the asshole guy that I tried to kill.
Yeah.
No,
That
there's
guy?
another guy.
No.
Oh, I
other
missed
guy.
that guy.
Maybe I'm conflating the two.
His like
Oh, the
legs
guys.
were crushed, and we like helped him.
Oh, there was a guy, and you were like, he'll walk with a limp forever. I remember
Yeah.
that guy. Is that a knight?
I think he's a priest.
Not anymore.
Oh,
Wow.
Ian, that was rude. My goodness. Cody, speaking of things that you're excited about, Seth in the chat wants to know like how different it is being the DM of like a Homebrew Network podcast versus being a player. Like how do you feel about that?
It's like 10,000% different. As a player, I just worry about, what I'm going to do or say, or I don't even worry about the ramifications that it'll have on the team because that's my play style. I just do what I want. Grundle didn't give two fucks, and Roger doesn't give two fucks. Carl gave a quarter of a fuck.
He cared.
He didn't. He was, that was a little bit of a challenge playing him, actually, because he was such a team player, and that's usually not my... I can't say I'm not a team player, but usually my entire build, my entire character is like a soloistic person acting in the team. Whereas Carl was like the leader of the team.
Yeah.
So I mean that playing a character is very different than running a show. I mean, I started editing the show from day one, and I always had like a vision of like what I thought the show was. And so when I took over, it was just very easy for me to continue that vision and like embrace it and like really draw it out. I would say like my ultimate inspiration for the show was originally like a gripe. I was like, man, Power Word Fail, I'm editing it over here, and I'm like, it reminds me of daytime television. I'm like, it's the soap opera of the Homebrew Network. And I'm like, I don't like soap operas. What am I doing editing this? They need to get someone with a mind for this stuff. And then, I don't know, somewhere along the line, I just was like, actually, I like this now. And I've got ideas for this. And I sent Carlos a few of my ideas, but it was right around the end there when I took over anyway. And once it was in my hands, I was like, oh yeah, I know exactly how I'm going to pilot this. I know exactly where I'm going with it. I know exactly what I'm going to do now that it's my like decisions. And I mean, I guess I don't mean to toot my own horn, but I think that everything's been going pretty smooth as far as the story goes. Like I saw all these like loose threads, and I was like, man, I want all these threads to come together in some sort of epic way. And then like, well, you're a DM now. I'm like, fuck. Now I have to think of the epic way. But I think I've got a couple of more. There's a couple of more pieces of the puzzle that I think that once you guys snap those pieces in, it'll be like a whole mind explosion.
A whole mind explosion.
Ambrose is gonna be going
That's
crazy.
What I'm talking about. Yeah, that's what I love. More drugs for pickles. That sounds good.
No more drugs for pickles, my guy. No thanks.
As far as prep work for the show goes, I usually work on like my grand scheme ideas like throughout the week. The first week that we're off, like right after we stream, it's like a lot like fresh in my head, and I've got all the kinds of ideas popping off. And then usually by the end of the week, I've settled on like, okay, here's the good ideas from that crazy brainstorm session that I had over the week. And then throughout the second week, I usually assemble it into some sort of an encounter, some sort of a NPC, some sort of a, situation that I'm like, oh, that would be great if we could do that next. Or, like this guy. Scamandius is a good example of that. He's a character that I've been thinking of for a while, just based off the way you guys interact with NPCs. I'm like, I can't wait. I gotta have them meet a guy like this.
Did you think we were gonna leave him outside?
Yeah, I thought you guys were gonna kick his ass too at one point. When he kept asking you for stuff, and you were like, no, we're not doing that. And then he was like, well, can I get the money then at least? I thought that you guys were gonna like, listen, now you're not getting the money, and we're gonna beat your ass.
I mean,
Pickles was about to. Everybody else was a lot nicer.
I don't know. Other than Ambrose shooting that gnome, which I feel like could be argued was self-defense. I sort of get it.
I would argue
I-
it was.
Y'all would have done it.
I
Y'all would have done
think-
it.
Crumble
Yes.
would have done it in a
Non-lethal
heartbeat.
shot to the knee.
Yeah,
No,
not
if-
a headshot,
no.
my guy.
All you guys were flying around, but if you two were invisible, walking down the street, and people were just like, "Oh, we see you. We're pointing directly at you." They would have
I
been
used
gone.
to be in the
Greg would have
Inquisition,
taken
but then I
two
took an arrow
souls.
to the knee.
Take an arrow to the knee. Yeah, other than that, though, I don't feel like we're especially violent
No,
towards
I was
people
trying
who are
to-
not
I was trying to egg
explicitly
you
violent
on a little
toward
bit.
them. Yeah.
I was
But
trying
I
to
feel
see
like-
if
Mushroom
I
guy,
could
too.
Push
make
it?
a freeloader, dude. A little bit. Just be like, how far can I push you guys?
I don't feel
Um,
like we have ever, other than the thing with Ambrose, and maybe I think there's an argument to be made with the drug dealers outside of Northwatch. Other than that, I don't feel like we've ever resorted to violence unless violence was threatened against us first.
I do think those drug dealer guys kind of brought it on themselves in a way, but because they wouldn't, like, they could have just left. You know what I mean? They could have been like, all right, this ain't working, we're out, you know. But they kept pushing their luck, and then they kept giving you, like, information about, like, oh, we've got these very valuable drugs. And, like, you know, man, it just starts getting really hard to,
You
like,
know,
at what point do we not attack them and take their stuff?
I mean, the turning point I think was when they're like, "Oh yeah, these drugs are used for like the
Right.
war effort," and like they're being used in somehow for soldiers, and it's just like,
At that point,
Okay,
yeah,
like-
I kind of was like,
Mhm.
okay, now you're the enemy.
yeah,
But yeah, I just kept waiting for him to stab some. Like, I was waiting for the violence. I was very high alert for Scamandius. I felt like he was going to do something to us. But he never did. He was just annoying. And then we left him outside, which was...
And we also have like a hard time trusting outsiders now. Just
Yeah.
with literally everything. So when a guy's like, "Hey, you just want to go fight this creature and help me out because I'm feeling depressed," you're like, "We're all depressed. Leave us alone."
do
Like,
you want to come to this
Problems.
cave with me? Like anybody's asking us to go to a cave at this point. It's just
yeah,
like,
it's just like
no,
We ain't going
No
in no
thanks.
caves.
caves
Yeah.
are done. Bad
We
things
got-
happen in
you
You
caves.
can't take me to a secondary location. Like,
I
I
know.
know better than
You
that.
guys know that Pharaoh lives in a cave, right?
Well, yeah, sure, but like,
oh my god.
That's the last cave.
That wasn't this cave. That was a different cave.
Any old
yeah,
cave.
that guy. I
Wow.
still want to know what his deal is, though. It kind of upsets me that we left him and didn't like resolve it because I
He'll
want to
still
know.
be there. We're gonna
Yeah, I
leave, but he's
know.
just gonna be there.
That
Yeah.
is always the worst part about stuff like that. Is like, you know, sometimes you want to step in the trap so you can see
Yeah,
what's
so
going
I
to
can
happen.
see
but
what was
you
going to
Yeah.
happen.
You don't want to step in the trap, but then you don't get to know.
I don't want to step in the trap. I don't like if he was just some annoying like scam artist on the road. Like I don't want to murder that guy. That feels bad.
Mhm.
I'm
But
glad we
like,
left him out of Everton, though. I'm glad we left him.
I am also glad we left him because I feel like if we'd brought him in, he just would have caused immediate trouble. But
Yeah.
yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I have a question. This is not from either the notes or from the chat. Did we miss something with the frog guy, Cody?
Kind of.
Great.
There was some stuff that could have happened there for sure. I thought for sure you guys would have like in I don't know what the word is, but like I thought you guys would have thought he was really suspicious. And I thought you would have like really investigated him, like maybe you went to his
We just thought it was
hometown,
great.
try and find out like where he lived. Like I thought you were gonna like pull that guy apart for a second.
I just thought he was wholesome.
And
I
then-
just thought it was
Yeah,
great.
He
Well,
cared
dog.
so much
Frog
about
man.
animal
The other-
husbandry, you know?
The other thing I thought is like, well, either they're going to scrutinize him or they're just going to help him. And you guys really didn't do either. You guys just talked to him for a while. You gave him some
Yeah.
advice.
How did you imagine we would help him?
Well, I mean, Atreides brought it up. He was like, oh, there's the cisterns. I thought that you would either like give the guy like the location of that lake that you guys were talking about, or lead him to the cisterns, or just I thought you guys would spend more time like helping him, or like giving him a destination, or
like giving him practical help rather than advice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or I thought that you would really like be like, this guy's up to something. Those frogs are evil, and you'd like really investigate it.
I think after Dable the Maple, you have to know that if you give us like seemingly harmless animals to hang out with, we're like, yeah, I'm down with that. But I also think, at least I as a player and Adalia as a character, I'm too suspicious to go too far out on a limb right now for anybody. Right. Everyone we've helped lately has turned out to either die because they're too close to us or be evil. So like... we can't get too involved.
I will say that, like, if this was a Dark Souls game, you did enough to progress his quest, but not enough to, like, push it in, like, a good or a bad direction.
Get the magic frog armor.
Yeah, right. You're not going to get the magic frog armor now. You're going to get some sort of a weird magic frog sword. That arguably is better for some people online, depending on your build.
Yeah.
Ambrose can't get a flying sword, but can get a hopping one.
That's still kind of cool. I'll take that.
You just spike it on the ground, it bounces, lands pointy end first.
Yeah. I've been wondering about the frog guy ever since we left him. I felt like there were stones unturned, but I didn't know what we were missing. I felt like we were missing something and I didn't know what it was. I guess I didn't realize that it was like offering him like super practical help.
Yeah, it was kind of just like, I guess I'll just kind of throw it out there. Since, I don't think it'll affect his future and you can't alter the past. So basically I was looking for some sort of, like a life direction for him. Like, do you guys crush his dreams? Do you guys help his dreams? Do you like show him how to do it? Do you like give him Atreides kind of did. He was like, yeah, you can, that they are there. It is the city's fresh water, but there's also parts that are not fresh. You could maybe do it there. Especially if it's a food supply, all that stuff. I definitely think there was a future potential for him to like move to Mornstead and become like extremely wealthy, like selling frog meat. That was like a possibility. In my mind I was like, yeah, and then when they go like do their land development thing, maybe he can have like a stand where he sells frog meat there.
I was thinking about that, but everything up till that point had implied that if anyone recognized that we were from Mornstead, they would like, call the police.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
in a fantasy way.
I wasn't sure if you guys would take that chance because he seemed so innocent. Or if you guys would, like I said, scrutinize him and like be like, this guy's crazy. He has something up with these frogs. He's got some sort of, like we got to find out, like where he's from and why he's doing this. And that could have been a whole other thing alternatively. But yeah, you guys kind of just chatted him up and gave him some minor advice. And like I said, I think you have given him enough to move on with his endeavors to the next stage of his quest, so to speak. But nothing like, oh yeah, he's a very positive experience with you guys, and he, his life has changed for the better. It's kind of like a lateral move.
Yeah. Moving, but not necessarily in a positive or negative direction. Right. Just like continuing.
Just kind of continuing. Kind of sucking at it.
I don't know. Do you guys feel like that? Like, that we have sort of reached a point where when we try to directly interfere, it usually just goes so badly.
Yes.
But I feel like we can't interfere, But I also feel like we generally think people are okay unless they like directly prove otherwise. So we don't do anything bad either.
Right.
I honestly think we saved Scamandius by not helping him or doing
Yeah?
anything for him. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think like sometimes like doing that is better to help people. Telling them the truth or just not doing anything. Like sometimes people just need to go do their own thing to figure it out. A little bit of advice, a little push is enough. But hey, I'm about to go, like having big dreams, sometimes you just need to squash some dreams to let them live. So
I mean,
Yeah,
we
I
just keep
can't
thinking
give-
about Christopher, who had big dreams. We brought him along, and he just died.
And he
So,
died.
like,
it's true.
Yeah.
like, no more babies that have dreams.
Mm-hmm.
I
They
don't think I can
can.
give too much insight on Scamandius since he's like standing right outside
Yeah,
the
he
door.
Yeah,
literally
no,
could show up next episode for sure.
I will eventually give you my insights on his purpose / what you could have done with him.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like
Yeah.
these encounters, if we were still in Morinstead, would have gone a lot differently. I feel like a lot of the
Oh, yeah.
conversation was because, as Katie said, we've kind of gotten the feeling of we don't want people to know we're from Morinstead.
Right.
So,
Which I
like,
mean is I've done that too on purpose.
yeah.
Yeah.
But so I feel like if we were to have met Frogman in Morinstead, I 100% would have sent him back to the land to raise
our land,
frog.
he
Yeah.
would be like putting in the infrastructure for his frog husbandry project in our
Mhm.
land right now. Like he'd already
Yep.
be there. We would have him there doing his thing. But yeah, Ordemal has just been tough. Every
Yeah.
second of it's been really hard.
The theocracy is a whole new
Ruthless.
space.
Ruthless.
I literally felt like every street was being watched for Ambrose when I was
yeah.
gonna escape.
I have
Stressing
felt
out.
more paranoid since getting into the theocracy than I did even when we were openly fugitives in the city of Morinstead.
Yeah.
Like I'm much more paranoid in the theocracy than when it was like posters of our faces up, like
Yeah.
traitors,
Whatever.
treason, murder.
Yeah.
I'm like, meh, we'll figure it out. And here I'm
Yeah.
like, no one talk to anyone. Like everyone's a spy. Be really careful.
Especially the gnomes. Once the gnomes had magical helmets, I was like, we gotta get out of
We
here,
gotta get
man.
outta here.
This is the worst place to be.
Yeah.
Wow.
Ferric isn't actually from the kingdom of Morinstead, right?
No. Ferric is from a place that is at the border of the Takari Wilds and the Deadlands.
Right. I knew that it was somewhere up north. Have
Yeah.
we had any indication that, like, how people feel about residents of the Takari Wilds in?
I mean, Pickles and
Yeah.
Oasis are also from the Takari Wilds.
Oh, I didn't realize
Pickles
that.
grew up there. Yep.
I thought that they were, like, Morinstead natives.
Nope. They grow up. Pickles was found way up in the plains, up near in the wilds, and then was brought up in the wilds, and then came down to Morinstead, and that's where she met Miraz to do her travels.
I don't know how I missed that.
I
I
missed
had-
that as well. Would
I had
that
no
be
idea.
Something that Ferric and Pickles talk about.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
Pickles
the
ever
last-
remembers it.
yeah, that's the problem now. Yeah, the last time it was mentioned was a while ago, like way in the beginning, when I think Ferric mentioned she was from the wilds, or Miraz asked something about him being from the wilds, and Pickles was like, "Yeah, that's where I'm from too." And like, I think that's the only time it's been briefly mentioned, that's where she grew up. And yeah, now
Yeah.
she's not gonna remember, so
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. That's, yeah, sorry, I'm just reflecting on that. I don't know how I missed that. That seems really significant.
Right.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Let's see. Do we want another question from the list?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Let's see. Here's a question for me from Miles that I'm going to answer because I think
Nice.
it's interesting. If the group can save Evangeline's soul, do you think she would want the group to kill the prince? I think that's so dependent on what's going on with Evangeline's soul right now, which I do not have insight into. Like, when Evangeline got dusted, that was the end of my insight into what's going on with her.
Mhm.
Can I talk about that little one shot we did with Allie,
Yeah.
where we did the dream? So when Allie was joining the cast, we did a one shot with her, which I believe she briefly mentioned in character as Navara having a dream. Do you guys remember her saying that?
Yeah.
She may not have mentioned it, but apparently it was meant to be like her plot hook, so it's not really truly canon. But she like encountered a fragment of Evangeline's soul, and in that scenario, Evangeline's soul did not realize that the prince was the reason that she was like lost. So I think it would very much depend on like if we were able to put Evangeline back together, like what
Mhm.
memories she retained from whatever has been happening to her since then. Because the Evangeline who was in that like non-canon one shot, she didn't realize what had happened with the prince, that like the prince was evil and had like sundered her soul into pieces.
Mhm.
And when everyone told her that, she was just devastated. She didn't believe it. She couldn't like comprehend what was going on. And I mean, other than that one really bad interaction she had with him where he told her that he needed, or that she needed to kill Ambrose if he interfered with her doing the prince's bidding before that point, he had been nothing but wonderful to her. So like, I think she's a really complicated relationship. But you
Mhm.
know, that's also an interesting question. How do we, I mean, the prince was such a huge theoretical big bad in the first part of the campaign, and now that Miraz is gone, how do we feel about that? Like, are we still tracking the prince down? Like, what's the dealio?
I got some things planned. I've been slowly prepping and acquiring details that I have not shared yet. So, hopefully, in the next couple of sessions, might be able to progress that. But
Yeah.
for me, I'm killing the prince. I'm going to do my very best to fight the prince.
Yeah.
No matter what, I think even for Ferric, like your ideals with the prince is like, this is totally against Zorla's bidding, just to steal souls. And me, I'm like, this is totally not Vespa's, and you're also screwing with my two good friends. So,
Aww.
we gotta kick this dude's ass. That's the only
Yeah.
way. If we're gonna kick Zeus's ass, we gotta kick the prince's.
I mean, objectively, they've killed. I mean, the prince hasn't actually killed anyone that you know
No.
of.
Just
That's
against
the
the
villager,
people.
so he has to die.
Steal souls a lot
You
for
know,
him.
it's-
But, yeah.
Just tortures people for all eternity. Nothing bad.
Maybe.
Uh,
We have
We
no
don't
confirmation.
know. We don't
have
know what
Zero
he's doing with
confirmation
those
other than he's
pieces.
asked people for souls.
Yeah.
Did we agree that their soul is torn asunder? And Ferric was like, "Yeah, she's definitely like
In
in a
pieces.
comfortable position, right?"
I think that's the assumption, but we've never got the
I mean, I think
confirmation
it's
of what
definitely
Prince
the
is.
the going consensus that it's probably not good. But I don't think there is any like, a receipt that you found where it's like 50 tortures ordered by the prince.
I mean, and every
Yeah, yeah.
time that Miraz asked to talk to like Evangeline's soul or his
Mhm.
sisters, it never happened. So we never
Yeah.
got a glimpse into what those
Mhm.
souls
What
are
that was
actually
like.
going through. They might be being tortured. They might just be in a stasis of nothingness.
He's offered a couple times to let you guys see him, and Miraz is like, I don't want to. If I remember right, he's like, I don't want to see.
Yeah.
Right. For the most part, he was, I don't want to. And then I think one time he wanted to see his sister, and his
And
sister
it
didn't show
come.
up.
Yeah, it didn't.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't. Yeah, I don't. The prince is one where I could go either way on. It depends on our next interactions with him.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
feel
the
like
prince-
the prince. Go ahead, Cody.
Oh, I was gonna say the prince is a really interesting figure because in a lot of ways he hasn't done that much bad shit to you. I mean, he has obviously done some bad shit to you, but who signed the document? Whose soul went where? Why? Was it the prince's doing, or did Miraz and fucking Evangeline sign bargains?
With whoever. We
Yeah.
don't know.
And I think
So-
that the hardest part is that it's the differentiate of what we know as players is what we know as characters. Like what I know as a player is 100% the prince is bad. But what I know as a player is very, very minimal because almost everything that's happened has been in a dream of those people.
Right.
So like we have people saying that they're bad, but Miraz didn't even really believe he was bad until the end.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't I think Miraz might have said that he asked to kill maybe Ambrose. But I think that's the only thing we as characters actually know of bad about the prince.
Mm-hmm.
And
I mean-
Evangeline was all about the positive, so like
The only bad thing he ever did to Evangeline. I know we didn't get to spend a lot of time with her and like see the build up, but the only bad thing he ever did, other than being incredibly creepy, shout out to Carlos for how creepy he made the prince.
Yeah.
That was awesome because I didn't give him any of that. He just ran with that. But up until that point, he had been nothing but supportive and generous and made her feel less alone and everything else. And all he said was, I mean, I know he said, I need to have my souls or whatever it was he said, which was very scary. But he specifically said that if Ambrose tried to interfere again in Evangeline carrying out what she believed to be righteous actions, like killing that asshole guy in the temple, if Ambrose tried to interfere again, he said to kill him, which is bad. We can all agree that that's very bad. But, I mean, depending on how deep you want to assume Evangeline was into her, like, cult devotion to the prince.
Yeah.
Like, if she really, truly believed he was righteous, then I guess there's an argument, So, but other than that one thing, he had never done anything to her that was bad. He'd never caused her pain. He'd never asked for anything in return. That all happened, and then she died, and that was it. Like, that was all we had. So, and I don't think she ever shared that with anybody. Like, we all know that as players, but like, she never shared that interaction with anybody.
Right, that's what I mean. We've heard as much good from Evangeline as we did bad for Miraz. So it's as Pickle's mind, like, this is just a dude that you shouldn't make a deal with, and like that's kind of where it ends.
So it's really just more of a personal vengeance thing for Ambrose right now.
Oh, 100%. If you guys don't want to go, then it's totally fine. I understand. I'll go by myself. And if I die, at least I tried, That's the road to that path. It's just you ain't screwing with my homies like that.
Yeah. So is that like his big thing then? Like his big
currently
goal?
For Ambrose?
Yeah.
Don't screw with my homies.
No, I honestly have no clue what. For Ambrose, it's like making sure. I think the main goal to make sure everyone in our current group is like alive. I think like wherever we're going, like I just want to make sure no one else is like dying. I think like Ambrose have seen so much like horrific experience within the last month of how bad everything has gone with just everyone else, but also not knowing what's going on with his mom, his sister, just dad, just like the whole experience is just like there's just too many people dying, and make sure that people that are here that he cares about are still there. So like sure, like that's a main goal, but also like taking on the prince, but also just like making sure that his friends are there too.
That's honestly sweeter than I was expecting to get from Ambrose right now, considering his current character arc.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I'm hoping in like 3 episodes, I can get something that I'm looking for, but we'll see where we head to.
Yeah. What are everybody else's like personal goals?
Yeah, it's a really good question. Any personal goals?
Figure out what the fuck the Rainbow Serpent wants with me. There was some talk about like needing to do something, but not knowing what it was. Protecting loved ones for sure. Because like we've lost 6 people directly involved, and like
People and many others.
many others. And I think for Ferric, it's I wanted to design a character that was comfortable with death, like from the very beginning. So like someone who had been around a lot of death, someone who is prepared to be someone to facilitate funerals, stuff like that. Like that was the main thing, because like so many of my characters in the past have been about preserving life, that this one I wanted to make a little differently. But I ended up coming back around to the other side of that and being like, no, actually, let's prevent some death. I've been trying to this is a special for the listeners right now. Like I've been trying to write individualized songs in case any more people die. Like I'm sitting here trying to like write them out and everything, and like it's hard because it feels like I'm writing eulogies for like friends, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, God.
like
Yeah.
I'm writing eulogies for people who like have not died yet, but I know who are going to die.
Ugh.
Eventually, everyone will, right? I mean,
And
Maybe.
so I'm trying to figure that all out.
if Eric the Terror has his way, they will.
Oh, God.
Um,
How long do the kiln live?
I'd imagine like 150 years, something like that.
Well, then, barring tragedy, Adalia will outlive Ferric by a
Mhm.
lot.
Sure
So
will.
maybe you won't have to do Adalias if we live.
He'll just leave it to you in a book and be like, find someone else when you die.
That's painful. Yeah.
I think if I had to give one for Pickles, one of her things that's been consistent throughout has been figuring out what relationships are, in terms of like what is a friendship, what is like what are the components of that, what does that mean? Because Miraz was her first like real friend, and Miraz was a shitty friend. Like, we all know Miraz was he was a great friend, but he was also a shitty friend.
Yeah.
So just like all her stuff has always been just trying to figure out what relationships are, what is a friendship, what is this stuff, and I think that's continuing on now, especially with Ambrose, because like one day Ambrose super supportive, the next day Ambrose is like, let's put you in a drug induced like coma and just force trauma on you until we find out more lore.
To help you. All right. To
Yeah.
help you.
To be
Sometimes you
fair,
need-
he
I'm a
didn't know
long
how
bun.
traumatic it was going to be.
Yes, thank
right,
you.
but
all right? I didn't
afterwards
know.
he was
Yeah,
like, let's
sure.
do it some more.
Afterwards, he was being an
Yeah,
asshole.
but it was a lot of good information, all right? It was a little too good.
So I think between like all of the current relationships in the party right now, like the strained relationship with Ferric, where they were close, which she doesn't even remember. So all she really remembers is how Ferric has acted since she's come back, which has been very distant, and a little bit awkward. And then everything with Ambrose, and then with Adalia, and then also everything that happened with Tarsian. And just parsing together like what are relationships, and I think that's one of her main growths that she's has, is parsing like who do I trust, why do I trust them, why am I being friends, like why am I traveling with these people, like where are the attachments and why. So I think that's one of her main things that she's still going to go through, is trying to figure out what the hell was all of that with Tarsian, and how should she feel about that, mixed with Eric's feelings about Vinny, and how did those interact with each other. because I feel like there's significant overlap there with how she interacted with Tarsian and how Eric interacted with Vinny in the memories, and then just all the friendship stuff, and now with Pops in the mix too, and all of his interesting beliefs. I think it's going to be a whole thing.
That's a good question. I mean, I know it's kind of hard for Nathan because he's not here to defend himself, but how does the team feel about Atreides?
Suspicious.
Pickles loves him.
I love Atreides.
Well, he saved your guys' lives, so I mean, he's got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Adalia is skeptical of him on multiple levels. Primarily, so we touched on it briefly, but Northwatch stomped out any religion. Like, there was no religion in Northwatch.
Right.
And when she saw religion happening, it was like mothers praying for their children not to starve, and they still died. Like, no, she has no positive experience with religion. She's just seen it as a thing to be punished in other people, or prayers to be unanswered. But she has also, like, the primary reason that she is so concerned about Atreides right now is that, as well-intentioned and nice as he seems to be, because he does seem nice. That's the complicated part. He seems like a nice person, like, well-intentioned. But this, like, intense level of, I'm special, and thus I deserve to live while others die, which is essentially what it means to be a god. Like, I'm so important and so valuable that I think I should get to be a god, and everyone else should be mortal. Like, that kind of thinking is what Zeus was.
Yeah.
Like, taken a few extra steps towards an extremity, obviously.
Sure.
But the base thought is the same. And so, at best, she sees Atreides as well-intentioned, but incredibly misguided and on a dangerous path. And at worst, she sees him as, like, a Zeus-level threat in the making.
Well,
So, like,
your
neither of
insights
those
are
are
pretty
great.
good. I'd say the theocracy feels the exact same way.
Yeah, the theocracy
Yeah.
too. Like, all of that is bad. It's all, at least in Adalia's experience, that has just never gone well. It's always going to go poorly. And so she likes him as a person, but she does not feel safe with Atreides around. And I don't know how that's going to affect the party dynamic going forward. Like, I don't know if she's going to try to, like, convince him not to follow this path that he's clearly so passionate about, or I don't know.
I'm
But
excited
yeah,
to see these miracles.
Yeah.
Whatever he better walk the walk. You know, he better show what he's talking about. Show for
Miracles happen
his
every
godhead.
day. Magnets. How do they work?
Yeah.
Well, that's crazy. Yeah, I definitely think that once you guys talk to him quite a bit, he's got some more to reveal. I think he's just waiting till he gets to know you all a little bit better.
Great.
We'll have to see.
I'm
We'll have to see how that plays.
nervous. I'm nervous.
I was trying to be relieving in that information.
No.
Okay. I guess
I'm
it's
just
frightening.
nervous. How do I mean, Ferric and Ambrose are the ones who have, like, defined faith, really. Like,
Yeah.
traditional defined faith. How do they feel about Atreides trying to become a god? Does that, like, undermine how you feel about the gods that you already hold, or not?
No, I know it'll never happen for Ambrose. I'm not trying to be a jerk. I'm just like, oh, I'm gonna be a god. I'm like, that's like, you know, whatever. Like, okay, sure.
So, like, yeah, it's cool, dude.
Yeah, that to me, I'm just like, oh,
I mean,
Sure.
I will say, the quote unquote, there's precedent for it. I mean, that's the Master's story, is that he was just a man. He became a
yeah.
god.
I don't see the
We
master
don't-
as a god either.
We don't have any evidence that the Master is actually a god. We just have a bunch of people saying he's a god, which is a totally different thing.
Mm-hmm.
And
I
then I will
mean-
say, theoretically, I don't think that even if you saw it happen, I don't think it should waver your faith, because, I mean, you believe in multiple gods, right? I mean, you believe that there's plethora of them. There's Zorla, there's...
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're based off crystal.
Yeah, there's like an
What about the
existing.
prince?
Well,
He's
yeah, that's
like a minor
that's
deity.
Jimmy playing, yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds like a god
there's
to
no
me.
evidence that the prince is actually technically a god either. And
Mhm.
like for Ferric, it's like, okay, the crystals are the actual deities, right? Like there's the crystals, which are the sources of power, and then there's aspects of them, ways that they project themselves into the world, which include, the Cybus and the bear and the fox that Phineas the fox
Phineas
the
he
fox.
ran into.
Absolutely.
And like all these like ways in which the deities choose to manifest themselves in the world. So like even Zorla, like the physical manifestation of Zorla for Ferric is not actually like the god itself. It's just a name and an image that we put to this power. Whereas like what I understand of like the theocracy's whole deal and like the pantheon around like the prince and the dragon and the master and the lover and like all these like other deities that we
Lesser
don't
deities.
really know. Yeah, we don't really know about that the theocracy believes in. For more or less, like they're just people of like super tremendous power. Which we haven't actually explored how like their lore or how they've developed. Like we keep talking about the prince, but we still really don't know anything.
Yeah, you don't know much about his origins, just as he was a guy named, or his original name was Halazar.
Yeah.
Got kicked out of heaven.
And so like I think we're due for an Ordomalian library trip
Yeah.
to get the origin story, because we didn't really find anything on it in Mornstead.
No.
Right? Because we were trying to look up the prince. From what I remember, we were trying to find some information, and Mornsteaders are like,
I don't know how much info we would find in the concurrent theocracy, though, because it feels like to me they would eliminate evidence of other deities. Or whatever.
And how much of what we do find on the master is going to be like propaganda?
Real, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what about like with Vespa and everything? Does does any of this conflict with Ambrose's like feelings about faith, including Atreides?
I wouldn't even. So for like Traley saying like, oh yeah, I'm on. To me, I'm just like, okay, like what? Like it's nothing significant to me, because I know like my religion and my faith is in Vespa, and like I also believe in all the other crystal deities, but those are like, but my true faith is bounded on that one singular god. But everything is also based off like crystal religion. So anyone saying like, oh, I'm on the path to godhood, usually that's like Prince some scenario, or like I found this super magical evil sword that has an eye on it, and I've devoured 1 million souls in Everton or the theocracy or something. Like it's something like, you have to do something that's still like not necessarily like a god to like what a god is to what Ambrose is, what Ambrose think it is.
Sure. Makes sense to me. I definitely follow all the logic.
But good luck. For him, I'm not going to stop him, as long as he's helping people.
Sure.
Yeah. I'm nervous. I don't want to. I mean, I know that it's Nathan's character, so obviously I don't think that he's gonna go like full Zeus
never
evil.
know.
But like Adalia doesn't know that. Like Atreides is not Nathan's character to Adalia, and I'm having a really hard time trying to figure out how to get past that in character. Because I feel like Adalia would just be so concerned.
Right. Well, I mean, I definitely understand your concern. I mean, he is a very strange man who's wanted even here, and he very willingly is like, no, I want to come with you to get me, to like, he seems almost a little bit selfish in his endeavors. Like, I definitely see your point.
Mhm.
I can't wait for Nathan to tell you the rest of his stuff that he's got.
Yeah.
It's like
I'm excited.
the rest of the puzzle is not on the board yet.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'll be really great once you guys find out some more about him. I actually thought that he was about to lose it on Scamandius there for a second, but then he rose above it.
That's good.
Oh yeah.
Good.
Well, I don't mean like murder him in cold blood or something. I thought he was gonna scold him.
Yeah.
Tell him about the ways to be a proper adventurer or whatever that he was trying to do. And he's like, no, he's like, he just kept blessing him or whatever, and he was very forgiving, I suppose, of his kind of shitty nature.
Yeah.
What else do we have for questions?
Well, we have a few more small ones, but I don't know when you're planning on wrapping this up. I have been saving for the end NPC Smasher Pass, which I feel like we should just do as a
We
group
should do that as a wrap up.
as the wrap up question. So is there anything else we want to talk about before we do NPC
Real
Smasher Pass?
quick, I do see a couple questions from me on here. Cody, do you have an end goal in mind for the campaign, or are you just going along with the flow? I'm definitely going along with the flow, right? I mean, you got to go with the flow. But I do have a vision of the end game. That vision changes daily as you guys change what you do. But all the players are there, the set pieces are there. I mean, I've got an ending in mind. We just got to get there. And hopefully you guys don't completely throw all my shit out the window by the time we get there. The other question I see here is, if I could introduce any off-the-wall twist, non sequitur, what would it be? When I first took over, I genuinely considered a massive, earth-shattering catastrophe kind of thing. Think like the font of magic being born in Pickles' dream. Something like that happening to the world when I took over. As a statement of the control of the universe has shifted. But I decided against it. I thought that changing, it was already a lot changing, Carlos left, Ali was joining, I was joining. It was just so much change already that I felt like stability was more important than some sort of crazy plot twist. When we already had so many loose threads that I really was more focused on tying everything together, making everything make sense with all the changes that we had, and then continuing the story at hand. That I didn't really want to introduce any kind of crazy off the wall shit. I mean, I got plenty of time for that, right? So
yeah.
I feel like if I'm gonna do it, it will be down the line, not right as soon as I take over. What else?
Let's see. We've got a few. Ferric. A question for Austin. Ferric not having wings, was that just for character flavor or not to make them overpowered?
I think that for me, I was just trying to. So Ferric on paper is a satyr. And satyrs have this thing called mirthful leaps. And I had this vision for Ferric as a character. And I was like, okay, how do I make this work? So that was kind of the impetus. And then I was like, oh, if I have this particular thing, you know, like I don't have flight, but I have some way that I can still like use what's left of my wings to extend my jumps a little bit, or something like that. And then I just fixated on it being like a story element, like being a background element. I don't think I've ever used mirthful leaps.
I don't think so.
No,
I don't think so either.
And as far as like an ability, mirthful leaps is kind of bad. It's like not even 5 feet. Like it's like add 2 feet to your jump. That's not how D&D works.
Yeah, 2 feet's
either
not a
5
thing.
feet or nothing.
Yeah.
And so like I think it started as a mechanical thing and then just turned into so much more, and I'm really happy that with how it has come about thus far.
All right, I like that.
Yeah.
Any chance of him getting his wings back? I don't think it's like off the table, but it doesn't seem to be something Feerick seeks. So
Yeah, I think it's like if the opportunity presents itself, absolutely. Like I don't think Feerick is beholden to their scars. I think their focus is much more on the people around them than their own problems. That's probably a little bit of Austin coming through. The character, like, oh no, oops. But yeah, I think with Ferric, like, if the opportunity presented itself, yes, absolutely. Why fucking not? Yeah.
Hang on, I'm looking at what level druids get regenerate. I'm gonna get you there.
Well, I was gonna say that's why I don't think it's off the table, man. Because you got a Tralles and a Dahlia, and I'm pretty sure one of them's gonna want to help you eventually. But again, I don't think that that's something that Feerick would ever ask for. Like he wouldn't be like, "Hey, I saw you like heal that squirrel the other day that I was trying to cook, and any chance you could do that for me?"
Yeah. We'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah.
Someday. Yeah. A very long time from now. But someday, Adalia could theoretically grow your wings back.
I think we have time for one more question, and then we'll
Before
do the Smasher Pass.
Okay. Let's see. I've got one for Ian, which is... I feel like if any PC... This is from Miles. I feel like if any PC were to retire and not be killed off, it would be Ambrose. Have you thought about that? And then I have one for me, which is about like my homebrewed race and if I think it's... and my class and if it's overpowered. I'm personally much more interested in how you've thought about Ambrose, but I can answer mine if you'd rather.
I mean, I can answer that in a short way. I don't think I can envision Ambrose being the only survivor out of this group. Just with the innate question. I do see Ambrose retiring at one point. Hopefully that killed off, but I do kind of have this. I do have this like I don't know. I have this feeling of like writing in this way where he kind of goes up and does his own thing for a bit, and then kind of like discovers more information or whatnot. But I haven't never really like gone any further than that. It's just like a thought in my head. But yeah, I would love for Ambrose to be back in the like Busan Manor and studying and researching, but I don't want the home to be empty and that like, his friends not there. So I think that's kind of a hard question to like accept or to hear, because it's just like, yeah, I don't think Ambrose would even be Ambrose if everyone was killed off. So I think it would just be an absolute nightmare of a person to deal with. But
I could imagine an old man Ambrose like reading a book.
Yeah, I kind of have this like sick like white beard, jacked Ambrose when he's like older, but like trading like other secret operatives of the Ivory Guard to take down
You'd be like
evil
your dad,
units.
but the nice version.
Yeah, well, nice version. better in every
when
way.
Dad's as mad as he is, I mean, the nice version of that.
When,
Yeah,
doesn't
that's
have to be
true.
when
that
your
much
dad
nicer.
is Isaac Toussaint, anything
Yeah.
else is the nice
Nice.
version.
That's true. Literally anything is the nicer version, but yeah, I can't think. I don't want to even think about everyone. I'm the only one retiring.
Fair. Just to touch on my question really quick
Sure, yeah. we have
about
to-
my homebrewed race. It doesn't say class, but honestly, my homebrewed class was the much more difficult thing that I obviously still struggle with. You can hear me on the recording struggling to remember all of my features. But the race was super easy to pick up. It's really not there's not complicated features to it really. My class, the Circle of the Crystals Druid, is a little complicated because of the way we reflavored the wild shapes. There are so many options that it's
Right.
almost impossible to sort through them in like a timely manner in the middle of combat. The other part of this question was, do you think it's overpowered, and is there anything you wish you could change about it? I think this is more a question for Cody than for me. I don't feel like it's overpowered because I'm enjoying it.
Sure.
But the big trade-off with the Circle of the Crystals Druid, as we homebrewed it when Carlos was still DM, is that you give up your animal shape wild shapes. So
Mhm.
that's the
Which is
detraction
one of the things that makes druids really, really strong.
that makes druids really, really strong. So giving that up by exchanging, you also have access to the sorcerer spell list, but you get to use it as a prepared caster. So I can switch out sorcerer spell list spells the way I would druid spells.
Mm-hmm. And that's like
so,
you shifting to your different forms.
well, no, that's just the spell list I have access
Oh,
to
okay.
when I prepare my spells every day. The different forms. So Adalia is a fire crystal ancestry
Sure.
crystalborn. All of the different crystal ancestries have different traits. So the fire crystal ancestry, at a certain level, you have resistance to fire damage, which Adalia currently has. At level 11, she will become immune to fire damage. So in theory, she could drop a fireball down right on top of herself and just walk out of it like John Wick. So like there's certain things like that each of those crystalborn ancestry lines give them. When I take on a crystalline form, which is essentially a wild shape, then I'm essentially plucking different things from all of those ancestries.
That's cool.
And getting to use them for 10 minutes.
Right.
So
I suppose my insight as to like if it's overpowered or not or whatever, it probably seems more overpowered than it is because you get like all the best of both worlds as your class race combo.
Mm-hmm.
If you were just like a fire crystalborn fighter and you couldn't
Yeah.
shift, it probably wouldn't seem as powerful, right? Like,
Right.
you know, you'd just be stuck. And, you know, fire immunity is great and all, but how often does that come up?
Yeah.
I think the real strength of it is in the combo class race combo.
Mm-hmm.
That does seem like there's times when I'm like, holy shit, you can do that? Like that, it does seem strong.
I
But,
agree with you.
You know, moon druids can literally be like unkillable.
Yeah.
So
That's a problem.
that's
Uh,
that's like legitimately overpowered.
Yes.
Just-
I think this class and race combo can be finessed in a way that makes it very OP in certain situations.
Sure.
But I don't think, unlike certain things, like I think there's, you know, arguments to be made that something like a peace cleric or a twilight domain cleric or a moon druid can be so OP that it's like game breaking. Like you can't function. I think
literally.
you can.
Right.
I think we can still function around Adalia. It's
Yeah.
just sometimes she's
I'm not
like,
trying to scare you, but I could think of several ways to kill Adalia. I mean, you know,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
it really
um,
wouldn't be that hard, honestly.
I
Adalia
think-
usually just stays far enough back that she's
Mhm.
not in the
Mhm.
direct line of fire.
I think the reason it seems so OP is just from knowing all of the options that you
Right.
have.
Mhm.
You
You
have
see the
options for
options in your
every single
transformations.
situation.
Yeah.
Like, you have options for combat, you have options for roleplay, you have options for getting us away, you have options. Like, I think that's where it seems so strong, because you can literally pick something for any situation and have it, basically, knowing that list, especially at higher levels once we get there. And I don't know
Once
if
we get there, yeah.
you're homebrewed to get the level like 13 abilities too. Then I will say
I only go up to level 8 on the shifter, or on the
okay,
Oh,
because I was gonna
So that's
say,
not even
like,
bad, yeah.
knowing what you get, what some of those get at level
Right.
13, I was gonna say, if you get those, then yes, then at that point I would say it would OP.
The crystalline shapes only go up to level 8.
Mhm.
The thing I get at level 13 is that I can start giving, so I can take a level 8 shape, and then I can give a level 6 or 4 shape to somebody else.
What?
So I can share stuff.
That's fucking insane.
Right. So that,
But I mean,
But
I like
it's
support shit though. Like,
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
I don't
support
think
shit.
it's OP as in game breaking, but I think it's so strong because you literally have something in every situation that we go
Yes.
into.
Yeah.
I do only have 2 wild shapes, and unlike normal wild shapes, they only last 10 minutes. It's more like a Stars Druid, you know, so I can't take on like Pass Without a Trace for an hour or
Mhm.
Yeah.
whatever. It's a 10-minute thing, taking like a starry form. But yeah, I think there's arguments to be made. Actually, when Cody took over, I sent you all the stuff, and I'm like, if this is too OP, you can tell me. We can like
Yeah, no, and I
pull
didn't
it
see
back.
anything in there that I was like, oh no, we gotta take that away. We gotta stop
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Like,
So-
it's all pretty good stuff. It just seems like a lot because, I mean,
It's so
you can-
versatile.
yeah.
I think that's what it is. The
Um,
versatility of the crystalline shapes is, it seems so OP because it can be applicable to so many things.
I mean, I play in Homebrew where like Heavy Arms Oliver literally can like destroy, like do like 9 attacks a turn. I've been in like Sanity Damage where, I mean, Abraham is capable of very powerful magics that I, as Warlock, I mean, I feel like I'm getting spoiled on Warlock because I'm like, man, you know, this is pretty powerful. But I don't think they're that powerful. It's just like my custom shit. But Nathan's famous quote is, the more powerful you guys are, the more powerful I can make the bad guys. So
Exactly. And
Right.
It's fun.
it's fun.
I mean, we should bear in mind that Adalia, with all of her OP stuff, we still lost 6 people,
Yeah,
and
right?
5 of them were on her
That's
watch.
true.
Like,
Yeah.
she spends a lot of combat healing people because that's just
Right.
what
I don't,
she's been
I don't
valuable
think a lot
for.
of the strength of that versatility is combat based.
No.
I think a lot of
agreed.
it is the
It's
role
very
play.
RP
Like,
based.
right.
It's a very RP. Yep. I could see like, you know, if everyone was purely vanilla and we didn't have anything going on, I could see some players being like, man, that's strong.
That's
But
a lot.
everyone's
Yeah.
kind of got some fun stuff, so I don't think it's too crazy. And like you said, it's not super combat oriented, so I don't think anyone feels inadequate on the field.
No.
No.
Right. So, you know, I wouldn't say it's like too OP or like a problem or anything like that.
No, not at all.
Yeah. But it is incredibly versatile. I don't know how well it would work like out in the wild world.
Right.
You know, just people being able to do it. But I feel like it works okay in our party.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I can see why that would feel weird.
And then on to the finale.
Okay, so are we playing this in the traditional way,
Yes.
or are we?
This is
Okay.
traditional smash or pass.
What are the traditions?
Oh, it's just smash or pass. Like, would you
Okay.
smash
Actual smash
or
pass.
would you
Right.
or would you pass? And everyone has to do it in character. So like, would Ambrose smash or whatever? And then I believe Andy said something about Cody playing as Kelvin.
I just think it would be funny.
Yeah.
Do
you want to play Smash or Pass as Kelvin?
Kelvin's sexuality. I haven't really put a whole lot of thought into that.
Calvin gives like chaotic pan energy.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Oh,
I would
100%.
agree with that.
I feel like everything is just Smash for Kelvin.
Yeah. Just as Blanket Smash. Blanket Smash.
Smash and smash.
Yeah, I could give you Kelvin's insights. I don't see why not.
All right. So the first, I made a list. We can add more to it. These were just who came up at the top of my head. for major NPCs, starting with Nora. Smash or pass?
Pass.
Smash.
Smash for Adolia.
Pass.
No context required. Kelvin. Smash across the board. We know. Zanzibar.
A reluctant smash.
An enthusiastic smash from Adolia.
I just
sure
don't
Zanzibar
know
knows
what
all
kind
sorts of
of magic items he'll pull out of what.
Right. It's
you know,
complicated.
it'll
It's a risk.
Pass. I can't imagine his voice orgasming.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I'll pass on that.
All right.
I'm
Okay.
having one.
The humanoid version of Strudel.
Thank you for the clarification.
You're welcome.
Clarification on humanoid.
Hard pass. I
Smash.
cannot trust it.
100% smash.
Pass from Adolia. He doesn't seem present, and I like someone who's in the moment.
He'd be looking at his own reflection in the
Right?
pond.
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Pass.
I think Kelvin would be in so far for everybody. I don't see why not. If he met a beautiful fae creature that was 1 minute a horse, the next minute a beautiful man in a pond, I think he'd slide in. He'd take his robe off and get in the pond.
Yeah, I believe that.
Well, what
Yep.
we have here? Beautiful fae man.
The next one could be seen as a I tried to leave villains off of this, so I guess it's
Oh no, put villains in.
Villains
dependent.
did.
Yeah,
Oh,
put
villains
Zeus
in?
there, dude.
Villains in.
All right, okay. Let me adjust. Okay. All right. So next,
Miss Scarlet.
oh, Miss Scarlet, I gotta put Miss
Scarlet.
Yeah.
Scarlet in there.
Could put the dads in there. Daddy Abernathy.
Oh, Daddy
Daddy Busan.
Abernathy's. Daddy Abernathy and Daddy Busan are already in there. Don't
Yeah,
think I
yeah.
would leave them out. Okay, so the next one up then is Marcus.
Pass.
Pass.
Way too sappy.
Respectful pass.
A tentative smash from Adolia. I respect the passion, the absolute devotion.
It was weak.
I think Kelvin would say he's a dirty
That
farmer.
says a lot about Adolia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Adalia is not a super healthy person. I hope everybody's aware of that. Like, she is not. I feel like, I don't know how he ended up this far in the list. We're going to move him down. Next up is Miss Scarlet.
Smash.
Smash.
Smash, of course.
Smash.
Kelvin would smash.
The first universal smash. I'm going to put that in there.
Hot vampire lady? I don't know how you can.
Yeah.
Literally,
Yeah,
give me that and a witch, and I'm happy, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, really?
Universal smash of Miss Scarlet. I
Cody is
respect
yet
that.
to give us that
A hot witch. What are
hot
you
witch.
doing, Cody?
There's a witch. There's a great
Not a hot
No,
witch.
not a
Give us
hag.
hot witch.
She,
We need a hot
maybe-
witch.
Maybe she used to be hot. I don't know.
All right. Unfortunately, next up, Zeus.
Pass.
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 Is this
I think-
previous or is this decayed form Zeus?
This is previous form
Yeah.
Zeus, full of
Wow.
like money and power, but also a genocidal tyrant. So
I never fell for the like Hannibal, like hot Hannibal thing.
Yeah, it's a
so,
hard thing to pull off.
you have to walk a very fine line.
Nah.
Yeah.
I think Kelvin was really interested in him when he was younger. Like when he put him in post and like
Mhm.
when he was telling you guys that he used to be a cool guy and all that stuff. I think he used to find him very attractive.
They definitely hooked up at one point.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
100%.
I'm gonna do that one shot.
All right. This is who I thought was going to be our first universal smash, Vilvanus.
Oh,
Smash
absolute-
100%.
100% smash. I mean, the last 4 letters of his name spell anus. So
It's so true. Vilvanus smash.
Vilvanus.
Vilvanus.
I'll pass on that one.
I honestly don't
Thank
know.
This is
Situational
shocking.
smash.
Situational smash.
I mean, he gave us croissants in the morning.
Yeah, like that's
And presents.
kindness
is
is
really
not people's things.
I think Kelvin would do a political smash.
Situational smash, political smash, unabashed double smash from Ferric and Adalia.
I would need a third person there. Like I just Sylvanas, it
Third
wouldn't
party.
happen.
a
Yeah.
third party. That makes sense.
Someone to take Volvanus's pure sexual energy divided somehow.
He could probably handle a couple.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, for sure.
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
Sorry, I just had a very intrusive thought about Ferric and Adalia and Vilvanis having a threesome.
Wow.
I'm so sorry. It
Artist,
just totally took
You
me
know
out of
what to
my
do.
I'm so sorry. It just took over my brain. All right. Next up, Isaac Busant. Hard
Only,
pass.
Smash.
only if
Pickles.
Ambrose's calls me stepdad.
Oh no!
Obviously
Yeah,
a
pass.
pass for my dad.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you don't even have to answer.
I think you
Thank
get a
you.
pass.
I
on that
think
one.
Kelvin thinks Isaac is too domineering and scary, and Kelvin's wants to be the dom, and he wants. I don't think that he would like a
Kelvin.
big scary man telling him what to do.
That's
He
fair.
would be like, now if he got him if he found out that he was like very sub in the bedroom, I think he could go for that. But I just
don't
don't
see
see
that
Isaac.
happening.
This is
Yeah.
too
I'm
much. I
sorry.
don't need to
It's
hear
your dad.
any more
It's
about
your
this.
dad. I'm so
This is my
sorry.
dad,
We're
all
letting
right?
it go.
I'll let you kill my phrase, but I will let you talk about this.
All right. Next up, Cornelius Abernathy, who is my former PC's dad. So like,
Pass.
Pass.
However,
Pass.
I would totally smash Evangeline's mom. I'm sorry.
He's dead,
And
Ambrose!
frankly,
dead.
it may have happened. We don't
And
know.
she was me.
You never
Gross.
know.
No way. I don't believe
No.
you.
It's not canon.
It's not canon. I do not believe it at all.
Evangeline's mom has got it going.
No. Let that woman rest in peace. She got genocided, you guys. My God.
She's earned her sleep.
Let her sleep.
It's dead beyond
Cornelius.
Universal Smash.
Another
I think-
political smash from Kelvin.
I kind of think Cornelius is like too much of a rival for him.
Mm.
I think he
Enemies
like.
to lovers is so good, though.
I
That's
mean,
true.
maybe, but he definitely does not like him currently.
Yeah. Maybe when they were young and impulsive.
Sure, when he was a younger man,
Mhm.
Cornelius and
Yeah.
Kelvin was still very important back then. So maybe he tried to impose
Sleep his way to the
himself in
top.
that way. Yeah.
Mhm.
I get this feeling that Kelvin's a bit of a pusher. Like he'd be trying to make the moves. He'd be trying to be on top.
I feel like if Cornelius were trying to sleep his way to the top, he would have been the one being like aggressive. So maybe that wouldn't have worked out.
Yeah.
All right.
Cornelius,
Well,
too many red flags. Get him
yeah,
out of here.
so many
Yeah.
red flags. That's almost a universal pass on Cornelius. Next one, Cody gets to sit out. Kelvin.
I would not
Smash.
put Kelvin out for smashing himself.
Just because
I
it
mean,
would.
sure,
I mean,
That's
he
true.
would.
That's true. He
If it
would.
was
That's
an
a little
option.
simulacrum.
that's valid.
I'll pass on that one too.
I'm gonna pass on
It
Kelvin.
would be just such a unique
pass.
experience. I'm sorry.
No thanks.
I think
Can you
he's
imagine
got,
wild
like,
There could be
magic
some,
going
like,
off?
It would
You
be a
took my
story to
chair
tell.
play.
Yeah.
I imagine that he's got like a very, very, very nice bedroom, but you have to like walk through his trashed out office to get there. Like, wait, don't mind the mess. Let's go right to the bedroom.
Oh my God, I sort of forgot what his voice was like.
Oh
until you
yeah,
did
he
it
has
just
a
that
bunch of holes in
second.
the walls, don't you?
No way. Not
Then
in a
you
million
have
years.
to have that painting of the evil guy staring down at you.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, my other consciousness
you're
is in
into
love with
that,
that man,
yeah.
so
Oh yeah, that's like a
This
whole
is
nother
on board.
experience for you.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I just look at that painting.
Mm-hmm. That's
He'd
fair.
be okay with that.
Gross. All right, moving on. The Rock of Bristol.
Pass.
Pass from Pickles? I was not expecting that.
Yeah, I thought he was your type.
I thought he was your type. He's like a big, muscly, oily, handsome dude.
No, that's not Pickles' type though. It's just what
is?
has been perceived. Pickles likes really tall dudes. Pickles
Bristol.
likes really confident dudes.
The
But
Rock
the
of
thing
Bristol?
about the Rock of Bristol is he's so fucking full of himself.
Oh, okay.
That's
it's
not the type of
humility.
A little bit
confidence.
too.
You're wanting more like a himbo energy than like
Jonathan Bastille. No.
Yes, the Jonathan Bastille
the
energy.
Jonathan Bastille energy versus the Rock of Bristol.
Okay, he's
Right,
not on
the
the
same
list,
thing
but
with,
Jonathan
like-
Bastille.
Right, that's why I
Jonathan-
said smash for Isaac Bousat and
I'm
for
so
like
sorry.
she's the powerful, confident, but
Oh my
not like
god.
Rock of Bristol. Like he's a wimp behind it. We all know
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
You smack him, he cries.
Sure.
Like
Yeah,
We need to
true.
rewind and go back to Jonathan Bastille. Smash.
mash.
Smash.
Yeah.
That's
Tell
me.
me when.
So
That's
Ultimate
me.
Smash.
I would smash myself.
All right, so far our two universal smashes are Miss Scarlet, who is dead, who Adalia sucked her face off and pretended to be her, and then Jonathan Bastille, who
Who never existed in the
Who
first
never
place.
never
It
existed.
never existed, but
We're
it's
doing
all
great.
forever in our hearts.
What about the dagger? I can't say that because he's my brother.
He's your brother. I didn't think to put him on here.
Not my
Dagger.
blood.
Pass. Pass for Adalia. No, thank you.
Pass for Ferric.
Yeah.
I bet you Miraz would.
Miraz
Oh,
would.
Miraz would 100.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Said smashed it basically everybody so far.
I don't know if he would have smashed Nora. He
I
seemed
don't think he
overwhelmed
would've
by
done
Nora.
Zanzibar.
Hmm.
Maybe everyone else though.
Maybe not Cornelia.
Definitely Isaac Bousat.
Absolutely Isaac.
Yeah.
Probably not Kelvin, actually.
Definitely.
No,
not
that's
Kelvin.
true.
Well,
Not
I don't think
Kelvin.
he'd go for Kelvin.
Yeah. Probably
yeah,
everybody
next power
else.
word fail chill. Next power word chill. We're
Yeah.
gonna have to get Nathan to answer these. For
Uh-huh.
us.
Yeah.
So yeah, pass on Dagger, but we do think Miraz would
Mhm.
smash Dagger. All right, last one. Commandius. Pass.
Pass.
Pass. Get him out of here.
Pass.
Who even are you?
Mhm.
Yeah, I think Kelvin would be like really confused who they are, but I don't think he'd be against it. They're like lithe, and hairless.
Sure. Sure.
Is
All right.
Commandius hairless?
That was
Yeah.
not mentioned until right now.
I do think I mentioned he was bald.
You did. You did.
That's
Oh, yeah,
not,
you did.
That's not hairless.
Yeah,
Well,
that's two
Like,
different
I'm
things.
thinking, like,
I mean,
Hair.
you never saw him without his armor on.
Mhm.
fair enough.
That's so true. You're so right.
Oh my God.
I'll tell you, based off of my like, what do you call it? The inspiration for Scamandius, he's hairless. I'll tell you.
Oh no!
Oh, wait,
I
one
don't
more.
know
Sorry.
why you know that.
Just
Well-
like waxed smooth.
Yeah,
Or
he just
just
doesn't grow
naturally
hair very
hair-
much. He's just like very
Oh.
fine.
I don't
There's
like
a difference between that and like I wax religiously. you
No,
know?
yeah, he doesn't like
Yeah.
have like great grooming. He was just like born with like very like light, thin hair.
See,
I feel like you thought a lot about Scamandius' body hair, and I'm very concerned.
oh,
I
we
gotta
didn't
see,
talk
I've
enough
thought a lot
about the other
about
ones.
You can see its obliques under his armor.
Oh dear.
Next time we play this, we got to play Bush or no Bush. Who's
Oh,
Oh my God.
I mean it's medieval Europe
Yeah.
theoretically, so I don't
There
know.
is fantasy.
Yeah. We can think
what
about
is-
it for later.
What is it? Prestidigitation? Could you
Oh, yeah.
prestidigitate your bush away?
I don't know. I don't know if
No,
this spells
but I
really
Where's
could
it fall
magical
to the
tinker
ground?
and magic item that can.
I'm sure there's a magic
Mhm.
item. And yeah,
Awaken.
Manscaped.
awaken. No. Absolutely not. To
I'm
that.
unhinged. Y'all
Yeah.
gotta.
Yeah.
Y'all gotta put
I
me
will
back.
put down Marcus's wife too. Just a side note.
Big
Would
She's
dragon.
good.
Form.
She
would
was a
smash.
ghost. She was a ghost, and then a
Yeah, but
dragon.
you could see her like as a human later, like in the past. I would, but
Smash as
Yeah.
dragon, smash as ghost,
Just
smash.
smash,
As
yeah.
humans,
Just
I,
smash.
I will
Yeah.
say, I imagine Marcus's wife was pretty attractive.
Yeah, she was
Oh,
a
yeah,
dragonborn. But doesn't
I mean, they
Ambrose
were
get
friends with
dragon?
Vilvanus, if that tells you anything. They were probably having weird threesomes.
Oh, they were probably having really
Yeah.
interesting sex together. But she was a
Good for them.
dragonborn.
Good for
Doesn't
them.
Ambrose hate dragons?
No, I hate dragons. I don't hate dragonborns. He's smart enough to know that there's a difference between the two.
Okay, interesting. We
I
can
do remember
explore
that coming up with Ghoulbar, actually.
Mm-hmm. All right, you guys. Any other NPCs we need to smash or pass, or did we get all the high points?
I think that's all the major ones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's all the big names.
Come on, Cody, throw more hotties at us.
Yeah.
I guess.
I'm waiting for those witches, man. I'm waiting for Ambrose's like romance arc.
The master is just a really hot witch, actually.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Witches, huh?
I can see why you're called the master.
Please don't. Oh no. Ambrose, no.
There's the end of
Whoa.
Ambrose's story.
Yeah, he dies. Alright, we're go. Shut up.
Wow. Wow.
Cody's like frantically taking notes.
Yeah, it's like,
Master is thick witch.
Master is thick witch. That's what we take away from this.
Apparently, everyone here likes witches a lot. Okay.
Who doesn't?
No.
Okay, I guess. I don't know.
Seems bad.
Never really thought about it too much.
Ew, someone in
someone
the
said
chat
the
wants to
prince.
know if we would smash or pass the prince. Pass.
Smash.
No,
I mean, he
pickles.
could literally be whoever you want, right?
That's
I mean,
true. Possible
You can make your
hate
dreams
smash.
come true.
Hate smash.
Thank you. Thank
No
you.
hate smash.
Ambrose is over there with me. Smash.
If it gives me like an hour to be with this person just to kill
So
them,
you can
I will
kill
hate
them?
smash.
All
I
right.
would have to. Yeah.
That's
God,
fair.
you're gonna a snuff video at
I-
the end for
I would-
Ambrose?
Oh my god.
I didn't say snuff video, but I
You
did
said
say
kill
honeypot.
them.
You
I
just
would
said
say
honeypot.
I would be a honeypot for this.
Oh dear.
Woof.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that was a weird note to end on.
Yeah,
No.
but I think it was really funny. We'll have to ask Nathan in the next Power Word Chill.
Ooh.
Thanks.
Universal smash, I think, from Miraz. Except
Yeah.
maybe Cornelius.
I don't think he'd go for Kelvin. I
Or
don't think
Kelvin.
he'd go for Zanzibar. Maybe.
Oh, he'd go for Zanzibar. Who are you
You
kidding?
think?
Yeah, Zanzibar was super into him, and he was just like, yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
I remember him being a little
Sometimes.
standoffish, but hey, you know.
It's
Get
canon
Miraz
that
in a room alone
Zanzibar
for 10
wears like
minutes
a.
Mm-hmm.
It's canon that Zanzibar wears like a mustache ride shirt, right?
hmm
Yeah, absolutely.
It is now. Yeah.
100% in
Oh,
like
yep.
sparkly purple.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Glitter
Absolutely.
purple for sure.
Yeah.
He actually has a glitter purple mustache
Yeah.
to go along with the shirt.
Oh,
Oh my
no. It's in my head now.
Wow. Well, thanks everyone for joining us on our special Power Word Chill here. We'll be back to our
We
normal
got a
recording.
tag on this one, folks.
Right. Yeah, we'll be back to our normal recording schedule next week, or in 2 weeks. I think for releases there won't be any kind of a gap, though.
There should not be a hiccup. So our normal podcast releases will continue to go out as normal. And there will just be 1 week where this is the recording instead of a normal episode. But we
Hell
won't
yeah.
be missing any weeks. And the videos should continue to come out weekly as scheduled. Or bi-weekly. Sorry, as scheduled.
All right. Well, you heard it, everyone. Make sure to join us in 2 weeks for our regularly broadcast live show. Thanks for joining me, everybody. Really appreciate it. Till next time, make sure to jump in our Discord, discord.gg/thehomebrew podcast. Got a really great community going. Love to hear from you. Love to hear some insights on whether you would smash or pass any of these people on this list. I mean, you know, Uh, the fans need to speak.
They do.
But where was that? If you got $2 laying around, make sure to go check our Patreon, patreon.com/thehomebrew. $2 gets you access to all kinds of stuff, and it goes a long way for us. All the support helps. This live show is a homebrew live show, and we've got a homebrew sponsor, Fanroll Dice. Go on to fanrolldice.com, get yourself some dice. Promo code homebrew at checkout. Get 10% off everything on the website. And until next time, remember, you are loved. You are loved as much as the crew loves Zeos. Turns out a couple of you guys would smash him. I mean,
the only universal smash, and Jonathan Bastille.
Oh yeah, Miss Scarlet, and as much as everyone loves Miss Scarlet and Jonathan Bastille, and you are as important as God. You're as important as Strudel. We're gonna find out his secret origins and his secret purpose coming up. So that's an exciting thing to keep your ears open for. And you matter. You matter as much as God, doing these live is real hard.
Yeah.
And you matter. You matter as much as God, I don't know.
Let's see.
What did we talk about?
We talked about so much.
Matter as much as Pokey.
Drama,
Really the most
Pokey.
important character. I think he's the most wild card character that I have no idea what you guys are going to do with him. So, I'd say that that's pretty important. See y'all next time, folks.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.